Hey, good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, depending on what time zone you're hanging out with. My name is Rob, aka Lantern Noir, and I am the host and dungeon master for this session of D&D Candlekeep, where we are going to start Sarah of Yellowcrest Manor. And Spaghetti, welcome! Glad to have you here. Thank you so much for the bits. And that's a great way to kind of kick the evening off. We'll start feeding into the Book of Fate little by little there. We'll talk about that in a second. And thank you, Flo and Linarius, for continuing to subscribe and gifting each other in a very kind but not gift of the Magi sort of way, which is always fun to do. I would love for the players to introduce themselves and who they're going to be playing tonight, and as an added bonus, to share their favorite linguistic quirk that they have discovered from various languages as we've been studying. I'll go first, and then we're going to start with Jesse so that everyone else has time to think. My favorite is that the Germans have a word called Kummerspeck, and it refers to when you are depressed, you eat junk food more and you gain weight. So they have normalized the fact that sometimes you get stressed and you put on a couple of pounds by creating a word specifically to describe that experience. And I think that's a shocking bit of body positivity, but it's cool. And it literally translates to grief bacon. So it's not that I've packed on a COVID-19. I just have to get rid of my Kummerspeck.
Your grief bacon.
I love that so very much.
Exploring another culture.
So Jesse,
You're not gaining weight.
we're gonna go to you and come around the table.
Alrighty. So hi everyone, I'm Jess or Enceladus, and I'm playing Mir, a grumpy water genasi bard. And my favorite linguistic fact we were actually just talking about that I've learned recently is that in Swedish, if you play D&D, like the word for like goblin and like gnome and all of these kind of like smaller, I guess, creatures, the word is troll for all of them. And I'm not really sure how Swedes like distinguish between these various, species in D&D, given that the word for all of them is troll. But I thought that was really, really funny. And if you haven't seen it, the movie Troll Hunters, which is not Swedish, it's in Norwegian, is pretty hysterical. So if you want to watch a movie about trolls, there you go.
That takes us around to Tiffany.
Sorry, I don't know what the word in any other language for crap. I forgot where my mute button was. Hi, I'm Tiffany or TS. I'm playing Show tonight, your favorite librarian barbarian. Make sure you get your books in on time, and we've got a special coming up. Kids hours, that's me. My favorite thing that I have learned recently about a different language is that weirdly Germans have no word for resilience. Apparently because they do not need it. Came up at work. It was really exciting. I can't remember if we were supposed to answer something else, but yay, we're back.
All right, and Molly?
So mine is, I'm Molly. I was immediately going to answer the question, but I'm Molly, or barely Molly, and I play Ember, the Fire Genasi rogue, and look out because I have a lot of +8s all of a sudden. Hey-oh! So this is going to be a very interesting game tonight. I'm very excited. But my answer to the question is also a Swedish thing, but it is straight up a word that I learned from a Swedish friend that I use in daily life, and it's skamskude, which means embarrassment pillow, and it's a Swedish word that literally means you are so embarrassed you must hold a pillow in like to like you have so much shame. Yes, skamskude. So like that is, I use this word daily. Truly daily do I use this word, so that's my favorite.
And that takes us to last but absolutely not least, Linarius.
I'm Linarius. Was there information I was supposed to say about me?
Well, a little about you and who you're playing.
I'm Linares, and I'm playing Jansen, the rogue monk elf that's totally got attitude problems, but I love it. And um, as far as like the language stuff goes, I really don't know. I honestly don't know. I like words. I like the way the words sound. You know, I know various words, but specifically speaking of the topic on which we are discussing things, I have no clue. Petrichor is a really cool word. It's one of my favorites.
Petrichor?
Yeah.
I'm unfamiliar with the word petrichor.
Oh, petrichor is the smell like after it rains or like just before it rains of like the dirt. Like it means like the smell like of rain, but because of the dirt and like when the water to the dirt and it releases
That's
stuff.
cool.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite smells as well.
That's a thing I didn't know. See, we did it. We got around the table. Housekeeping wise, I double checked and it looks like we are good to go. I forgot to hit refresh, so I didn't see that everyone's characters had updated. So I have to update the combat tracker with everyone's new hit point totals, and then I think we're really good to go on that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to run the opening titles, and after that we'll do our recap of our last session and we'll get down to our game. If I can find a button. There it is. Let's get the show on the road.
Every day you stuff your lips, lingering from our last kiss. Fireworks going off in my mind. Yeah, I can still feel the rush from last time we touched. I can feel your hands still in mine. And I've never felt this way before, never felt this way before about anyone else. And I've never felt this way before, never felt this way before. Can't keep this to myself. And I don't know why, but you got me feeling pretty, you're so giddy, can't stop saying your name. And I've never felt so high, floating on cloud nine, with a smile on my face, and you're to blame.
All right. Now, when we last left our intrepid adventurers, they had just concluded a lovely stay in the Candlekeep version of the Hotel California. They checked in and then they were told they couldn't check out due to an absolutely insidious rhyme. They found themselves all singing and humming and at one point kissing each other in order to break the hold of it. And eventually were able to track the source of this rhyme to a demon trapped in a particular book. The demon was crushed under a massive stone sculpture and appears to have retreated to that same book. The party has then been besieged, requested, hired, whatever word you want to use, blackmailed, something, into taking the book to hand it off to an expert in maintaining particularly dangerous volumes. The expert is to be found in the metropolis of Waterdeep. The wagon has been provided. The wagon has been loaded with a couple of crates of otherwise innocuous books in order to better hide the potential danger within this particular tome called Shemsheim's Bedtime Rhyme.
Yeah.
Just the name hurts. It's not like any of you are going to find yourselves humming it mindlessly as you go along.
We better not, I swear.
The book does seem well and truly secured. And you set out. As you traveled, Jansen was absolutely convinced at some point, a few hours outside of Candlekeep, that they were able to see a black figure moving from tree to tree, watching the wagon pass. I'm curious what everyone's going to do once this has been pointed out.
Am I the only one that does anybody else see it, or was it just me?
You're the first to spot it.
But could other people see it?
If they start looking for it,
Yeah.
yes. All four of you will
Okay.
notice the same spectral, shadowy figure peering out from behind tree trunks.
How big?
Human sized, maybe if you have to guesstimate, 5'4", maybe 5'5", 5'10", depending on the angle.
Walking pace?
No, what you tend to see is you see the spirit, the thing, look around a tree trunk and watch you pass. And then a few moments later, further down the road, you see it peer out from behind a different tree.
I'm gonna run up to it and say hi.
Well, that didn't take long.
I'm gonna turn over the reins to Mir.
Yeah, I'll take him.
Jansen immediately leaps off the back of the wagon and charges at the tree line along the road.
Yep. Jump off the cart. Just go along beside it and see what she's gonna do.
with Shona close in tow. As you approach, the air begins to chill around you, as though every step closer to the trees on the side of the road is another 10 degrees colder. You start to actually notice bits of frost on the leaves, and you can see your breath as you approach the last tree you saw the figure behind.
I was gonna make my breath cod. While walking closer.
My hair just gets really big. If anyone's called, just come stand by me.
As you get closer and closer, you can see gray fingers holding onto one side of the tree trunk and the figure hiding behind it.
Yeah, I'm still gonna go say hi.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, hi, how are you doing today?
The figure looks out from the other side of the tree, and in the cold air, you recognize that it's not fully present, but is a spirit of some kind.
Can I do some type of perception check to like, we're following this spirit into the woods? Is there other things, or like, I wanted peripherals? Are there other spirits?
Sure, roll perception.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
Oh,
Hey, I got my thing up on top so I can actually see what happens.
6 plus 3.
Okay. That's a decent roll. Ish. No, it seems to be just the spirit.
Do we hear anything? Like, do we hear the normal sounds of, like, the woods? Or is it kind of like,
It
the
is.
birds and the insects have gone quiet?
It is a little more quiet than it probably should be.
Also, did you say the time of day?
Mid-afternoon?
So there's still light.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Although there's enough, the leaves are full enough on the trees to provide a significant amount of shade. As Jansen calls out to the figure jumps back a little bit, startled by the burst of energy. She makes a nondescript moan as she reaches towards you. You're close
Can I
enough.
do a perception check of her intent?
That will be
Or like
insight.
an intuition? Yeah.
Insight, go
Yeah.
for it. While you're rolling that, it's the spirit is that of a young woman wearing a servant's uniform and bearing the symbol of a tree outlined by a rising sun at her shoulder.
21.
It's more of a reach for help than an attack.
I'm gonna try to communicate with her.
Okay.
Is there like a history, some type of check? Do any of us know what this symbol is? Is it like a symbol of a church or something, or a god?
Sounds like a great history check.
Okay.
Or religion. You can do either one.
I mean, neither are wonderful, but they're the same.
I'll do one, you do the other. Ooh, I'll do his.
Okay, so the
Oh,
embers.
it was almost a 20, but it's a 10.
It's a 10. Yeah, oddly enough, you don't recognize it
Okay.
I'm gonna try a history check.
offhand.
23.
Okay, that works. Before as Shona takes a second and starts to rack her brain with where she's seen that before, the spirit continues to take steps towards Jansen. And as her hand passes out from under the shadow of the tree, it begins to disappear.
Oh no, I'm gonna go closer to the shadow so she doesn't disappear when she comes into the light.
You can see that she's been weeping. Her eyes, though spectral, are bloodshot. And there are clear marks where tears have been streaking her cheeks. She moans again in your direction and then shakes her head as she gestures through her mouth.
She can't talk.
She
Oh,
shakes her
no.
head silently.
Do I have any like elf things that? What is celestial language?
The spirit of positive. Okay, celestial is the opposite of demonic.
Can I see if she speaks celestial?
If she has knowledge of the languages of celestials, she probably still can't vocalize them.
Could I write them down?
Possibly.
She's a servant. She might not know how to read.
Yeah.
I will cast message. It's telepathic.
Ooh,
I will cast message. Hello.
Meanwhile, Shona recalls. I want to double check the language on message. Shona recalls that she has seen that logo before. It was at the bottom of a purchase order of all places in wax, as the seal of a family in Waterdeep. Specifically, the Yellowcrest family. I don't know why I had to look that up, all things considered. Feel a little stupid right now.
Also, message is a low whisper. I was thinking of sending. My bad.
You're thinking of sending?
That's I think a telepathic spell, but message is not. My bad.
Okay.
I would say, pardon me, you're far from the Watercrest family, aren't you?
She shakes her head and points at the cart.
our cart?
Our cart.
Your cart.
Can you remind me what's in our cart?
A bunch
It's
of
all
books
those-
and Shemsheim's rhyme.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Was there
Well, there's
anything
a s-
else?
There's a spirit in that book.
Yeah.
There could be spirits in maybe some of the other books.
What? The cart? What about the cart? You want to ride?
She just shakes her head and points again at the cart.
Do you want us to go?
She shakes her head.
That's something to do with Shemsheim?
She looks very confused at that. She doesn't seem to
Cool.
recognize the name.
Do you want to ride?
No, yeah, she shook her head.
No. Oh.
Are
Did
you
you
a
lose
spirit?
your?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I just asked if she was a spirit.
She seems a little confused at the idea of being a spirit. And there's a moment where she actually takes a second to take stock of herself. And as she looks down and then looks up at her own hand and holds it so that she can look through it at you, you can see her eyes begin to widen as her face becomes overtaken with horror.
Okay. Calm down. Breaths. Deep breaths. But you probably don't need deep breaths. Go through the motion. It helps. In.
Hashtag when your barbarian tries to bard.
Oh,
Bad plan.
she's
I should
like
really
a
go back
go-
to driving the cart.
She's like a ghost. Does she have like visible marks of maybe how she died? Can I investigate this? Like, was she run over by a wagon? Is she scared of wagons? Like, I don't know what.
Yeah, give
Ask
me
if it hurt.
you. I know you are dying to add that 8 to an investigation roll, so go ahead.
Me? Never. No.
This will work out almost perfectly, depending on how you roll.
Oh, why is everything just a 6 today?
Oh.
It's still a 6 plus 8, so 14.
Jeez. Okay. You take a step closer to investigate, and you start to see that where her leather bodice has been sliced open in multiple places along the chest. And you
Like
can
a weapon.
like she's
for
been
sure.
stabbed.
Got it.
You can see where the brown leather is actually darkened from the blood. And as you start to take stock of it, she continues to take in the fact that she is a ghost, becoming more and more terrified until she turns to you, to Ember, the closest person, and screams. As she opens her mouth, no sound comes forth as you realize her tongue has been cut out.
Oh.
The silent scream begins to overtake her, and she disappears from your vision.
So, not great.
Okay.
So that's not usually how that goes.
I vote we go.
I think it's a good plan.
Oh,
Okay. It's a good plan because the household that symbol belongs to is in Waterdeep, which is where we're going. So we can investigate it, as well as fulfilling our mission, getting rid of this creepy book. Then we can investigate it without the thought that something creepy is going to take over the creepy book.
How far are we from Waterdeep?
Couple days.
So she is pretty far from home. Is there? Do any of us maybe have knowledge of like how far spirits can go from their?
Let me see if I've got a book for that.
You know, like, cause like if is the implication of her spirit being here that her body is here as well or nearby? Because if so, then I say we stay. We just do a little bit of like a sweep around, just a little bit of a look around. But if that's not kind of how spirits work, then I say we go to Waterdeep.
And since I'm from Waterdeep, would I know this, like now that Show has told us the family name, would that mean anything to me? Or like any rumors or anything?
So something starts to kick in.
Yeah.
What you remember off the top of your head immediately is that the Yellowcrest family is a middle-ish noble family that owns a series of tanneries and cobblers.
Would I know if they have like a tannery this far out?
You would not know. I mean, it's not impossible, But from what you remember, most Waterdavian nobles consolidated their power within the city.
Okay.
It wasn't that common for someone to own property this far out because it took days to get to it.
Okay.
It's
Do they
hard.
have a hunting lodge or something?
No, that's possible.
I'm asking Ember. You know.
Oh, I don't know. They're like upper middle class. I don't know if they necessarily had like a hunting lodge.
Since this is the main road that we're on, we keep an eye out for a little side road or something that might lead into this area.
Take a look for
Or
what?
it's just been like a side road or something that would indicate that there is like another property or lodge or something in here. Because she was following us for a little while, wasn't she, Jensen? Didn't you notice her a little bit ago?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, didn't I like? I'm pretty sure I told you guys as soon as I saw her.
Yeah, that's true. Hmm. We could go investigate a little bit if we want to. Won't hurt. I'll go kind of wander into the woods a little bit.
Okay. You start to poke around, and you can see where the grass between the trees and the lower leaves are starting to show that they're dripping with dew, having frosted over and then defrosted.
But the frost is new just when we started meeting with the spirit, right? Just when we started coming. If I look around, where is the frost really consolidated there, or is it?
It's definitely
around
focused on
as
where
well?
you interacted with the spirit.
So if I go over like 2 trees, is it still cold?
Nope.
And icy? Well, this is definitely the issue.
There's nothing on the ground. Did the sigil she was wearing drop?
No,
An
no,
investigation.
no sign of
Okay.
her.
And it's still cold.
Oh no, it's warmed since she's left.
Oh.
Right. Why don't we keep walking and we'll keep an eye out for anything else unusual?
Yeah, I'm out of answers.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, head back to the cart and start it back up again.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I would love, Molly, if Ember can roll me one more history check.
Okay. Big money, no whammies. Uh, 18.
There we go.
I see it took a minute. My memory had to jog a little bit.
Well, you had to hear Yellowcrest for it to really
Yes.
start to
Yeah, I really had to think
to
about
start
it
to
for a
kick
minute.
in there. You do remember something of a scandal. That being that when Lord Yellowcrest was away from town on business to one of his outlying hunting lodges, or specifically, not hunting lodge as in place to go when you hunt, but lodge as in place for hunters to go to gather up hides.
Got it.
Got it. He returned to find his wife, sons, and daughter, and the manor's 4 servants murdered
In the lodge?
in the house in Waterdeep.
Ooh.
No one was ever arrested.
Was there ever any rumor that, like, he did it?
He was sufficiently alibied, having been out of town on business.
Okay.
How long ago was that?
DM has to look at the book.
No worries.
I want to say...
Just like, is this like hundreds of years? Is this something that happened during like Ember's lifetime?
No,
or-
it happened while Ember was in Waterdeep.
Okay.
Yeah, I can give you that much at least easily. Like, because this is something like it was the talk of the town for a few days. Because you don't normally, come home to find, how many dead bodies is that? Two,
Yeah, and I've
four,
only
8 dead
I
bodies.
left Waterdeep
how many
like
daughters?
3 to 5 years ago. So it could be really long ago or not that long ago.
No, between 3 and probably a little bit before you left town.
Okay.
Within that last year you were in Waterdeep.
Okay.
Hey, history check or hey, Ember, you're talking about this. How common was it? Was there a gang or anything that tended to cut out people's tongues if they were killing them to get a revenge or prove a point or anything like that? That seems unusual.
I mean, it's a pretty serious thing, but I mean, I know that people in the Thieves Guild would even do that if they felt like someone would talk. So it's not unheard of. Would I know of any like the red sashes or whatever? Like,
is there somebody with a calling card?
Extremists?
Nothing jumps to your mind as a particular group that was really known for it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's more of one of those. It's usually a very particular, like, the thing you do to a snitch kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like that seems like a pretty Thieves Guildy thing to do. So
yeah,
anybody,
or a way to keep someone from talking if you don't kill them as well.
What did they all witness then? Or like, what did they all know?
I guess
that's gotta be pretty.
Oof. The thing that's wild to me is why cut her tongue out if you're gonna kill her? There's no point. It's a little overkill.
Torture the servant in front of the woman of the house to prove a point.
We'd have to know more about like how they were murdered too, because like, is there some kind of creature or demon or something that, for some reason, I don't know, wants tongues? Like, because it seems weird. Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, why would you do something that you typically do to silence and intimidate unless the family, because think about it, like, what dirty secret would like a wife, 3 daughters, and 4 servants all know unless the point was to send a message maybe to Lord Yellowcrest, and they all had their tongues cut out as a way to remind him, don't talk. Like, to send more of a message versus to actually silence, like to send a message by proxy almost. Like if they were just killed, like it's threatening, but if they were all killed and they didn't have tongues, then maybe it's like directed at him, like keep silent. I don't know. But I think we would need more information. I don't know. Ember, would you have any contacts or like people who were close to the family or know more about it that we kind of know, right? Like, we want to keep you quiet while you're in Waterdeep and keep you safe, but maybe you might know where we could start.
Your
face.
Why just sweating? Yeah, maybe. I did have a couple of friends. I haven't heard from them in a while. We could maybe look them up.
What could go wrong?
Let's take it one step at a time. We don't know anything right now, but we have at least a place to start.
Oh, I'm frantically opening my backstory right now. Right. Names of things.
So I guess we are in agreement that we will continue along our path while keeping our eyes open, because we don't think there's probably anything. Actually, that hunting lodge, will we be near it?
I don't know if Ember knows exactly where it's located.
Yeah, because the hunting lodge would be out of the city, so I probably
didn't get a map of anything that we're going through from Connie, did we? Or was it just stay on this road till you hit Waterdeep?
You have directions when you get to Waterdeep. you're going to be meeting your contact near one of the taverns, not too far into the town. They probably themselves won't be staying in the town themselves once they've made the transfer of the goods. Or maybe they will. It's hard to say.
We're I feel like you might have said this, but I didn't write it down. Were all of like his wife, his daughter, and 4 servants, right?
His wife, sons
Sons.
plural, singular daughter,
Oh, 2 sons, daughter. Okay.
and then the 4 servants.
Were they all stabbed and their tongues removed?
Yes.
Okay. Was anything stolen from the house?
That you do not know. And Ear, thank you, by the way, for loading the
Okay.
Book of Fate a little bit more. It's a good opportunity to remind everybody that, and we've been talking about it in the chat, but every 100 bits is a reroll for these amazing players to kind of give them a little bit of an edge. They can only reroll every one roll one time. So there is an upper cap on how often they can do it, but given some of the things coming up this evening, afternoon, or morning, depending on where you're at, they're going to need them. Especially if Jesse tries to bard.
Ouch.
I'm just saying.
Okay, barding was intensely successful with Shemsheim. Thank you very much. Okay?
This is true. This is
So-
true. Absolutely
I think
true.
it's safe to say you probably saved us with the barding. I'm not gonna lie.
See, there you go. I barded successfully, which probably means it's the one successful bard for quite a while. But you know.
Well, you're like not locusts with like scarabs or whatever. They have to go underground for 7 years and then they can bard again.
I thought that was cicadas.
Oh my god, that is
That's what I was looking for.
exactly Mir. It's like you interact with too many people for too long, and they've got to go underground for a while.
So, you continue down the road as the afternoon goes on with little of interest. The sun begins to set behind the trees, and you turn the wagon off the road. Take turns doing as necessary to make the camp, be it collecting up some wood, making a fire pit, watering and brushing down the horse, or simply checking on your goods. Out of curiosity, who's taking care of the wagon and the horse?
Probably me, given my like speak with animals, handle animals stuff. I'm guessing that'll probably be what I'm doing.
Okay.
I'll walk around the area where we stop.
Okay.
To look out.
Yeah, I think I want to be just looking for any signs of like things following us, or I don't know.
You're
Very
scouting
alert. Yeah.
on watch. Yeah.
As Mir unharnesses the horse and leads it over to a place where it can graze, they start to feel this rapid chill in the air. And then within a few moments, you start to see the puffs from the horse's nostrils as the cold air catches its breath.
Do I see anything else around me?
You look around panicked, and you can see the ghost standing in the back of the cart, reaching towards you. She's standing next to the crates of books.
Are those crates sealed, or is that something I can open up?
They're not sealed. You can
Okay.
unlatch them and open them if you want to.
Can I? Just maybe she can point to a book or something. So I'll ask her as I'm opening it, like, is there something in here that you want to see?
As you start to approach, she begins to fade back out.
Okay.
And then you're hit with that sudden warmth as the chill passes quickly.
I'm gonna call for Show. I'm not sure where Show is in the camp, but I'll call Show over, kind of relate what happened, and then kind of mention that the ghost seemed focused on this crate, and obviously I can't read. So are there books here that might be relevant, or like, do you see something out of place or something like significant, because this ghost seemed, they were in the back of the cart, they were kind of focused on this crate. So I think there might be
Pointed
something
at the
in here
books
that's,
before.
yeah, so I think there might be something in here that's important that we might need to take a look at.
Yeah, I'm gonna go take a look through the books and see if anything comes up.
You as you look through, you can see the leather wrappings with the arcane symbols around Shemsheim's bedtime rhyme. You very gingerly slide that away from the others so you can start to look. And it doesn't take you more than a few moments to spot on the binding of one of the books is a particular symbol, the same that you saw earlier on the servant's ghost, and the same that you recognize as being the logo of Yellowcrest Manor.
Ah, aha! I think we found it. You were correct. There's definitely something in here.
So this might be an irrelevant question, but is the tree that is on the brand, is it just kind of like generic sort of tree icon? Does it look kind of distinct in any way? I guess what I'm trying to get at
Specific
is,
type of tree.
is this an actual tree of some significance to the family, perhaps, or is this just kind of like logo of tree? Like, is this something, like one of those
Heraldry
very
tree.
characteristic, yeah, versus just heraldry?
Or is it like coat of arms kind of deal?
Yeah, exactly.
I would say my gut tells me it's more of the heraldry style, but I can actually do you better than that. As Sho pulls the book out of the cart, the crate, she can show it to you, and it's on Jamboard page 9.
Ooh, okay. So more like sort of a symbol of a tree than some kind of representation. Because, what could be buried under this, like, tree that's part of a family crest kind of idea. But
Right.
I think that's more of just a symbol of a tree, so.
What are the three little... I mean, I'm not there, so...
Well, we're just standing around. So it's the tree with the sun, and it looks like fruit, like free fruit on it.
So
I'm gonna look
I guess, yeah. Go.
and see if I can. What is it? Does it have any words or anything on the cover or binding or anything?
No, it does not, actually.
And it looks like it needs a key to unlock it. Can I get it unlocked?
Yeah, you can just
Probably not the first time I've come across a book. that needs a
squeeze the
key.
clasp and it will open.
Excellent. It's a diary of some sort, I'm wondering. Or a journal. What is the book? I'm gonna find a comfy spot on the wagon there and start reading it. Or skimming through it at least.
Okay. Have you told anyone else at this point? Out of curiosity.
I guess.
Oh yeah, I went
called
back to you and I said,
Show
yeah, you're right. There was something in here. It looks like some kind of a book of the house. Maybe it's a journal or a history or something.
Okay. Yeah, if you're not going to trust books, this is not the adventure collection to do. I'm just going to
I
put
love
that
it's
thought
all
out
book
there.
themed. It's so perfect for having like a librarian in the group. It's like, it's
Oh,
just
it worked
perfect.
out well.
It's like a whole, it's a whole series of adventures that are like show themed.
I just can't get past the fact that in Adventure 1, they hand you a +1 flail, which is a book
the
at
book?
the end of a chain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
no
so
books
good.
Books are doing the harm in this, not being harmed. Like the end of it is like nobody was actually harmed by well, yeah, actually they were. Sorry, books are normally fine.
Yeah, so I guess after a little bit,
Okay.
I might go back to Mir or to show and ask, can you tell what the book is about? Like, what does the book say?
Okay. So, as Show opens the front cover, the first thing you recognize, Show, as an expert on books, is that this was more than likely printed and bound blank. It does not have
it
the
was a
markings
journal.
of a printed book.
Right. A journal or meant for house accounts or something.
Correct. In very fine flowing script, the front page reads Sarah of Yellowcrest Manor. The next 20 to 30 pages is the name Sarah repeated over and over again in what begins as incredibly crude writing and slowly begins to take shape.
Was the initial Sarah of Yellowcrest Manor very nicely written?
Almost like with a noble's hand.
So like maybe it was the mom or the father giving it to the daughter to practice. And weirdly, does it look like somebody practicing writing their name, or does it look like somebody who's gone insane?
No, is that well? If they've
It does different.
Yeah. Like, is it like the getting? I feel like a child though would start like really poorly and
True,
get
very
better
poor.
with repetition. So if it's like slowly devolving, is it?
it's definitely
somebody's-
improving with every page.
Better.
Oh.
So
Okay.
it starts off with very shit. You can see where the either the pencil or the quill is not well handled. The letters are different sizes. The first several, all 5 letters of the name Sarah are in lowercase. And then a few pages in, she begins to capitalize the S. And towards about page 30 or so, you can actually see the little ticks where she's moving the quill to catch the end of a letter as she kicks it up at the end. And then around page 30, it begins a personal account of a servant's day. This morning, I cleaned the kitchen, then tended to the son. He needed new shoes. Then lunch. And each page is another day of relatively uninteresting events, but carefully scribed in what continues page after page in improving penmanship.
It was a gift from the mistress to the servant, and I bet that's the woman's ghost. I bet the woman's ghost is Sarah.
What about the end? Like, what's the last entry or the last few entries? Say?
I'm gonna flip to close to the end. I'll read it fully at some point, but
Using the
kind of skip
librarian
through.
speed read.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna kind of flip through and look for anything that like they got really agitated or very cramped, and then go to a couple pages from the end and see if maybe somebody stopped or they had visitors or something happened recently.
You start to pick up on, you start to skim through, and you notice there is a reference to a squire who is a handsome young man, according to the journal, and visits not nearly as often as he should. His name is given as Vecken. For Molly, that's Vecken. I know she's going to write that down.
Yeah.
Beckan.
Close enough for what we're doing.
Okay.
Then there are other parts where she talks. You flip through some more. You see references to the lady of the house. Lady Maria, and an understanding that Lady Maria knows what it's like to be poor.
Okay.
And there's a few pages that you as you're skimming through, you spot very well crafted thank you notes for teaching her to write and read. And then you jump towards the end of the book and find the final entry, which you actually have to peel away from one of the pages. There are 2 pages at the back stuck together. I stole close to Lord Vialis today and saw that he had chalked a circle marked with strange runes across the floor of his study. A puddle spread within the circle and appeared to me as bubbling blood. Lord Vialis stood next to it motionless, one of his vile books in hand, and muttered something I could not hear. I slipped away quickly, though I fear he may have heard me this time. I have never been so scared, but I must tell Lady Maria what I have seen. I must.
And he said the lord that was drawing the runes was not Vecin, it was somebody else?
Vecin was just the visiting squire.
Oh.
Lord Vialis, it sounds like, was Lord Yellowcrest. Because it's his banner. Well, it's his study.
Yes.
Do we know the names of the sons from this, or are they not mentioned?
Show hasn't found their names yet.
Okay.
Not mentioned.
And as you read over this last entry, you start to peel it away from the last from another page in the journal. And the reason they're stuck together is the ink has dried.
Ink?
Between the 2 pages are stuck from the ink drying because it wasn't allowed to properly dry before it was closed. And you can see that Sarah has tried to draw some kind of demonic picture that was once on the cover of a book. You can see like the rectangle of the cover with the little lines going down to show the perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It shows a monstrous creature with a bulbous head, long arms, tentacles for legs, and multifaceted eyes.
It isn't a beholder, is it?
I was just about to say, is this like a beholder looking guy?
It's okay, Ember. It's not a mimic.
I mean, there's that.
Speaking of
have I?
mimics, are you investigating the other books?
Oh,
Just let me know when you want to.
Actually, I do want to go investigate the other books to see if there's anything else of interest back in there.
Fair enough. Still on the subject of the book that you find, is there more you wanted to investigate? Or are you, where are we at?
Well, I'm going to kind of fill him in. So it looks like this is the journal of the woman who's the ghost. And that the lord of the manor was into some not good stuff. And I'm wondering if he ended up summoning something that killed his family. Although not him, so I'm wondering if he is possessed by the thing and he killed his family. So many options. If somebody wants to take first watch, I want to read through this some more and see if there's other reference to these books that he apparently had. Right. Do I recognize, can I do a history check or something, see if I recognize anything about this creature that she thought he summoned? Or that with the drawing?
Sure.
We're not playing
could that be
Cthulhu, right?
maybe like? Could that be in? What am I good in?
Perception
Arcana?
or maybe.
Since it's like a magical creature.
You could try.
I'm gonna try history because it's a +4 and I'm hopeful.
Oh yeah, you go
never
for
mind.
that. That's far better
I
than
gotta-
me trying to.
I got a 14.
It's a demon
Not really enough.
of some
Yeah.
kind.
I never. This was my brother's thing. I was never in that section. It was weird. I tried to talk to you. I probably said too much. I just don't go in that section. We don't usually let people in. Okay. Just gonna read through this a little bit. I'm going to at some point try and concertedly read through it and see if I can find reference. When you notice a cold spot, maybe call to Sarah and see if she responds. And then we can ask her if Lord Vialis was her master and if he summoned something that killed them all. Or if he killed them all, so he could use that to summon the creature. None of the options here are good. Now, what would he do with the creature? Ember, you don't know. He didn't, after this, the whole thing with his family dying came out, he didn't, like, suddenly become more wealthy or more powerful or anything, did he? Or
Am I
Well, like,
here?
did
Did
he
I
get
get
some
back
kind of-
from, like, walking around?
I would assume so at this point, yes.
Okay, I'll say I show up around now. Do I know if he got wealthier or if he... I don't know how much longer I was around in Waterdeep after that.
From what you remember, he never came back. When he had heard what had happened to his family, he became so despondent, he moved out to the country and refused to come home.
oh yeah, he's dead. Maybe he is near here then. I feel like we need to drop off the one book first before we investigate this too much, though.
The Shemsheim book, or
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we're carrying. It feels like we're carrying like some dangerous contraband right now that we
that
don't
is
want
not-
to fall into the wrong hands.
If we had a way to avoid it, it would be a great weapon to use on a demon that doesn't have a way to avoid it. Okay, it's not a good plan. Think out loud here.
I don't know. I was gonna say I can
We
try
can't
to
avoid
reach
it.
out to see if there one of two friends that I have would still have contacts in Waterdeep, but I don't even know if they're in Waterdeep anymore.
You can always ask around. Just drop your name and see what happens.
No, I don't know if that's a good one.
No. What could go wrong? I'm sorry, was
I
that
think that
too
that will
open-ended
be
of a
your-
question?
I think that will be your game master phrase of choice. What could possibly go wrong?
No, my phrase of choice is, you're welcome to roll for it.
That's true too.
I don't like that one.
Let's see. I want to check. Okay. So the rest of the night is going to unless you have something of particular interest you wish to do, the rest of the night is going to pass uninterestingly.
I guess we should just take watches.
Yeah, definitely take watches.
And for sure, let's like put a padlock on these books.
Yeah, let's have the crate of books maybe not be alone in the cart. Like maybe that's where the person on watch sits or something.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, before we go to bed, can I cast Detect Magic on the book?
Ooh.
Not Shemsheim's, the like journal.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm assuming you're ritual casting it?
Yeah, if I can.
I'm pretty sure you can. Oh, wait. No, I'm thinking of Identify is the one you can ritual.
Oh, yeah. I'll just do I don't have Identify today, so.
That's fair. The book is going to radiate some magic. In particular, a bit of necromancy. But it's not like looking at a spell book or anything.
Okay. Would like to do something on my watch, but I want to kind of wait for people to go to bed.
Yes, no, sus.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I
Ember,
guess you want first watch.
Ember
there,
volunteers for
Ember?
first watch.
These things, whatever these are as fruit on the book, are they like inlaid gold or gems? What are
Oh my
these?
god. Are you gonna try to Ember?
I
Um,
Oh my God.
mean,
They are gold painted. They're gold leafed leather carving.
oh,
So they're
No.
they're not like gems embossed in the leather. They're just where the leather carving was painted over with like either a gold or a gold alloy of leafing to give it a nice look.
Remember, they
Okay.
gave this to servant girl to learn how to write in.
yeah, I know,
Prying the
but
gold off a servant's book.
she's not
A
using
tortured and dead servant's book. But she knows it's there. She pointed it out.
it. I also have one more question. Okay, so in the front and back of the book, you know how like it has that glued down thing to hold the cover in place? Does that
Yeah.
seem like there's something behind that? Like
Oh.
could I peel back those? Is there like a secret note or anything written on the back of that?
Okay, so you can do some investigating to see if there's anything like hidden inside the physical book.
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
very clever. Unfortunately, it turns up very little of interest.
Okay.
It is a simple servant's diary that chronicles her day-to-day life and her ever-improving penmanship.
Okay. I was also curious if like the lady of the house put something in it and then gave it to I don't know, anything hidden, but that's fine.
Very logical.
And there's no
Doesn't
gold
say-
on it, so I'm done.
Toss it aside.
Yeah.
But you didn't find out if the young Squire Vecnan married anybody.
Eh. I prefer true crimes. I'm not into the romance dramas.
No soap operas
yeah.
too. Oh, but they're good for keeping your mind off of things. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm asleep.
The rest of the night is going to pass uneventfully, and the sun will rise. The horse can be rehitched to the wagon, and you may resume your travel down the road.
Cool.
As you make your way around the road, comes out of the forest and starts to go over a few rolling hills. And you spot a farmhouse from time to time, but not a lot of civilization to speak of. As you come over one of the rolling hills, you spot a figure walking the road the same direction you are. His hood is up against the sun, and he leans heavily on a cane as he moves. Or a walking stick, I should say. And as you come down and start down the hill, he disappears from view, and as you come up over the next hill, you can see that you're gaining on him quite easily as he moves. His cloak is coated in dust as he continues to make his way along. And unless you do anything else of consequence, you will eventually overtake him as he travels.
Who's driving?
Good question.
Rock, paper, scissors?
Because it was show, and then show passed the reins to me, but that was yesterday.
I kind of assume it's like mirror eye trading off.
Yeah, probably, based on who's tired.
You want to be driving or you want me to?
I'll drive.
Okay, you're driving.
Also, probably because it's morning and Mir's like, don't
Yeah,
want to talk to
probably.
anyone. Tries to kind of like sit here with the reins.
If you're driving, you're like, don't quiz me on my letters. I'm fine. I'll learn it soon enough. Read me the letter again.
Curiously, Sarah's diary is not the worst thing to use for teaching reading. The words start off incredibly simple and then
That's true.
progressively become more involved as she masters more language. Eventually, she even starts dating the entries, but that's like way deep into the book.
Did she date the last entry?
No,
Oh, that's a good question.
But she
not
dated
every
the one
entry is
before
dated.
it? What was the last date? I mean, you could probably just make it up. Doesn't matter.
About 5 years ago,
Okay.
give or take.
Okay. As we come up near the person, we'll just, give a, how's it going, fair traveler?
He turns as you approach and watches as you come the last 20 or 30 feet, making a point of stepping off the road so as not to block your path. And bravo, welcome by the way, and thank you. The man will say thank you, bravo, out to the universe for supporting Dungeons and Dragons. But meanwhile, he'll see you and he'll actually hold up his walking stick as a gesture and a salute. Good morning to you all. And you can see that within the hood is framed an older but handsome face. He has a thick auburn and gray beard that hangs down in front, and you can see that underneath the cloak he's wearing silver lined purple robes that are in fair cut, but not necessarily that, but that the cloak has been kind of protecting and hiding as he travels. Wait, hold on, let me double check that. Sorry, yellow and purple. Almost bronzish.
So it's like clearly not peasants' clothes, is what you're saying to me.
No.
It's a little like dirty, like posh but dirty.
Well, he's got a cloak to keep the dust off of it all. So you can see, like, right in the middle, you can see spots where the dust is gathered, but as he gestures to you and the cloak opens, you can see where it's really well maintained.
Hey, old timer, you need a lift?
Well, where are you traveling to,
Oh,
my
wait.
dear ladies?
What are you doing?
Before I say something, I definitely disguise self. So sorry.
I just assumed I assume we're fairly close to town, and you would have done that when we got up.
Yeah.
You've got at least another night on the road before you reach Waterdeep,
Okay.
which
Oh.
does raise the question: do you disguise yourself this far away from Waterdeep?
Probably not.
Okay.
But you might have a hood over up or something.
I mean,
I
am
mean,
your hair
she
made
just
of
called
fire.
out to him. She's
Yeah, I know,
like,
she did. It's
"Hey!"
like that ship sailed.
The
"Do you
ship is
have
gone.
money?"
I mean, want to ride?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I stand by what I first said then.
Fair
I'm
enough.
just Ember. I'm calling out.
Because you're Ember.
Oh boy.
It's what you
Yeah.
should do.
It
Yeah.
really, I need to follow my first instinct with this character.
Like, well, I actually, now that you mention, I suppose I do. Where is this fine cart with these fine creatures traveling to?
Um,
To the nearby town, of course. We're heading into Waterdeep. What else is on this road?
Oh, there's quite a few farming towns, a few other distractions. Doesn't have to be Waterdeep. It's good when it is.
Anything exciting? We're newer to the area.
Well, depends on what you're looking for. There's I understand, quite a very good vineyard off the road, about another few hours down the way, and then
that's where we're stopping then.
Yep. Do they have beer?
oh, now see, if you were thinking brewery, now that's going to be a bit further down. And I did hear of a meadery. I haven't been there myself, so I can't speak to it with confidence. Gentleman named Ambrose runs it, I hear. raises his own bees.
I feel the need to go here. Where are you headed?
Well, I planned to get myself to Waterdeep when I found myself in a bit of a disagreement with my, shall we say, traveling companion.
Who was your companion?
Oh, a gentleman whose acquaintance I made back at the library thingy.
Candlekeep?
Yes! There. He was traveling to Waterdeep. I was traveling to Waterdeep. Seemed logical we travel together.
I'm gonna lean over to Mir. Does it seem weird that he's coming from Candlekeep and has been traveling, but he came at us from the other direction?
No, he was going the same way we were.
No, then we couldn't have
Still-
overtaken him. We would have had to stop so he could overtake us.
Unless he left.
Oh, yeah, maybe he did leave before us?
It couldn't have
But-
been Connie or Steven that you had a problem with in Candlekeep.
Oh gosh, no. The gentleman's name was a Manet. It seemed like a perfectly reasonable sort, and signed on with them. Had himself more of a hansom than a wagon.
And I'm so sorry. What was your name again, sir?
Brandat. Sorry, Bindat. No, we'll keep the R in it.
Brenda.
Brindat. There we go. Put it over there. And yes, we just seemed that we had a disagreement over who should have possession of what meagle coin I had with me at the time that we were traveling together. I was of the opinion that it should stay in my purse on my person, and he was of the opinion it should be on his person in his purse while he rode away into the darkness.
Ah,
But I figured I was already on the road and there was no sense going back. And, well, one can walk to Waterdeep as easily as one can ride. It just takes a bit longer and you see more of the countryside.
can I insight check him when he says that he got robbed?
Absolutely, you can incite him.
Not good at this, but
That's all right. I would like to as well. When he said he was coming from the library. For some reason I hadn't gone the other way. I don't know.
oh,
Pay
natural
attention.
20.
Whoa!
You basically read his mind. No.
Like an
What's
open
this old
book.
man up to? What's this old man up to? I have a +0, so it's just a 20, but still.
Don't need any pluses when you roll a 20.
Exactly.
Do you, though? Do you? Okay,
I
now.
mean, come on, it's a nat 20.
Okay, I think what I need to do is I need to go into because I want to roll. I think I need to go through the encounter editor to get there, though. Which bugs me. So let me do this really quick. The D&D Beyond has so many really great tools. Oh, hey, Lexi. All the insight. Indeed. All of the insight. Plus, if I get this working, everyone in chat will get to hear, everyone on the stream will get to hear me when I roll my dice.
Ooh.
Which is what I was aiming for with this.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so maybe I need to do this. Then I open this. Then I should be able to not roll dice. Why is this complicated? Well, screw it. You don't get to hear me roll a d20. Okay.
Just have a little sound effect on your phone that goes click every
Ta-dunk.
time you roll.
Ta-tonk. I'm very frustrated by this, but I don't want to take the time to figure this out. The first question asked before invocation happens. Yeah. Why is this complicated? Amen to that, Sprig. Welcome aboard. You can tell. So here's what you know for certain. He did set out from Waterdeep, or from Candlekeep. He was not robbed.
Knew it. Wow. Okay.
So you know this,
Yes.
but the rest of us don't. So do you signal in any way to us that he's lying?
I think I'm just gonna say to him, what an unfortunate thing to happen. Isn't that right, Mir? And I'm just gonna look over at you and just eyebrows are up in my hairline. They are just above my head. Just eyebrows all the way. And then
Okay, so that's
just
like...
so unfortunate.
And so I'll kind of nudge Show then a little bit and sort of make a significant look. So maybe we just kind of loosen, or I'll at least sort of loosen the... Well, I'm a spellcaster. I'm going to like loosen my sword belt. That's kind of... I don't know.
I will.
Warm up my fingers for spelling.
Yeah, to warm them up, do the little blowing on them.
Yeah, no. But just like, kind of shift a little bit. Just be a little warier that, okay, the significant looks have been traded, that this person is not to be trusted.
Let me throw a couple of dice here behind the table.
Does he have any kind of like pack with him, or?
No, he's just got a dusty cloak. He's wearing robes. You can look down, and his
really
ankles
good robes?
and sandals are just coated in dirt as he's been walking along the road.
How many days have we been on the road from Candlekeep?
You're on your second day of wagon travel.
Of wagon travel?
Yes.
Because this guy's claiming to be walking from Candlekeep.
Well, he got kicked out of his cart after he was robbed. But so
he doesn't have any stuff. I don't know. This is...
But
he didn't get robbed. Why doesn't he have stuff?
Anyway, we can't really talk about this because he's here.
Oh,
He's watching you whisper.
Sorry.
And he's taking it all in. I understand the confusion. I do. You don't believe I was robbed.
Oh, I didn't say that. I said it was an unfortunate thing to happen.
Well, I can see it plain as day between the two of you as your eyebrows flew skyward. You leaned in and began to whisper under your breaths at each other and share knowing glances. I understand what happens when two people who are clearly very good friends are suspicious of what is afoot.
I was just going to snort.
Mir's just gonna sort of like blink. Like,
yes, well, I mean, I'm no one to judge what happened, and only the people that were in your circumstance know what actually happened, so...
To be fair, I did perhaps embellish a bit of the amount of stuff of mine that was taken in order to, quite honestly, instill a little goodwill with you so that I might ride with you for a bit and get off the road myself. Hopefully you can...
So you tried to have us trust you by lying to us.
I'm certainly not the first man to have ever embellished the truth in order to earn some goodwill. Certainly won't be the last in your lives that do so. May you live thus long and prosperously.
I honestly just think you're another Gerald.
Wouldn't happen to... I mean, you do have red hair. Do you know a Gerald by chance?
It's not that red. It's actually more like a copper or brass than red.
Okay.
How about we try again? You're welcome to ride in our carts a little bit, but this time, perhaps you could grace us with the truth when we ask for it.
Well, fair enough.
Would you like to try again? I'm Sho. And you are?
Brindette. Just
Pleasure to meet you, Brenda.
traveling scholar who had his full of books.
Sho's just gonna stare. I understand all of those words. But I don't understand that phrase.
You've never found yourself wanting to see what was in the book for yourself?
What book?
You mean see what's in the book for yourself? Of course I have. I've never said, I'm tired of books.
Well then,
As a scholar.
perhaps you're traveling the wrong road.
I think you're reading the wrong books.
Could be. We should discuss this at length.
While they're having that interaction, is there any subtle way, in a way that he won't see. I hope I don't have to roll a stealth check, but to sort of like make eye contact with Ember, look at the crate of books kind of pointedly,
Oh,
and
I'm
like
sitting
look back
on
at her.
it. I am sitting on the crate of books.
Because like this whole, oh, I'm not interested in books anymore. Like red flags are now up. So
No,
yeah, okay.
crisscross applesauce on the padlock thing of books we have.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna, as I'm talking to him and offering this and stuff, I'm gonna jump down and walk towards the back and be over there.
He actually starts to approach you like you're about to indicate where he should get on the wagon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And I do appreciate the opportunity to get off my feet for a bit. I'd hoped to be in water deep tomorrow, but frankly, at the pace I maintain and the number of times I have to stop to rest, it'll be a good week at this pace. Not that I terribly mind. Chance to see the world, smell the flowers.
Are you from Waterdeep?
Oh, I've spent time in Waterdeep. I mean, not as much as some.
Quite what I asked.
I don't know if I would call myself really from anywhere, to be honest.
What took you to Candlekeep?
Oh, just a bit of curiosity about this, that.
You said you're a scholar who's tired of books. You were studying something intently to get to the point where you're tired of books.
Well,
What were you studying?
it's not so much. Well, at the time, I was investigating of all things dragons, if you would believe such.
Yeah.
And then I got to a point where I felt like I was reading the same treatise on dragons I'd read before.
You ever met a dragon?
Oh, not myself, in person for any extended period of time.
No, that's a shame.
Why? Are you interested in them as well?
They're dragons. Who wouldn't be interested in meeting a dragon?
Well, mostly people who like to keep their limbs.
Think of all the gold.
I like dragons.
I relate to a dragon.
Oh, how so?
You know, they just don't want to be messed with. They have a nice hoard and home.
Oh, you.
Actually, it's because she likes shiny things. She flies around a lot, and if you get too close, she rips your limbs off. She's really come a long way, really, in the social category. It's really, really good.
Really, I'd rather read this one. I'm sorry, I shouldn't speak that way. I'd rather read you, my dear, and he gestures at Jensen, as the one more likely to rip you limb from limb.
Oh, I
I'll
didn't say
rip
she was
you
an
from limb to
outsource.
limb.
As I said.
Where is he sitting?
Right now, he's about to climb up back onto the wagon.
Oh, okay, he's not even on it. All right, got it.
I'm not sure Mir stopped the wagon yet. I jumped off when it was moving.
We're just like, we're just trucking along.
Just shouting out the back of the wagon.
Slow down. I never said.
Are you stopping so he can get on the wagon? He's not taking it. He doesn't keep a very fast pace.
He's gonna be that cousin like stops, and you get close almost on. She goes forward a little bit.
Yeah. I guess yes. Mir will at least slow the wagon so that he can climb on, but definitely kind of maybe an icy reception. I don't know. I don't trust this person at all. So
Perhaps we can drop Mythical Winery for a while.
Yes, now, if you wanted to find your way to the meadery, it's again, you stay on the main road for about another couple hours. I think I should be able to recognize the signpost. And
so yeah, I'll start the wagon up.
I don't believe I caught everyone's name. Show, I believe. And then he gestures at Ember.
Kelly.
Ellie, a pleasure. And he glances at anyone else.
Mir.
Mrs. will rip you from limb to limb. Nice to meet you.
We call her the Dragon Lady.
Oh, that is quite the title. I'm sure there has to be a story behind how it was earned.
Do you want to find out?
I'd prefer to keep my limbs where they are, if that's what you're referring to, as I'd rather become attached to them. Pardon?
Of course not. I would never rip your limbs off of your body. That would be bad of me.
Yes.
Oh, anyway.
So what line of work are you in? Brantley?
Read that.
Everyone who missed Ember's inability to get someone's name right, raise your hand.
I love it so much.
Well, I've been thinking about writing a treatise on dragons myself.
Really?
Well, indeed, because you read so many of them, they all read the same. Dragons are great, majestic creatures to be respected and feared, and dragons maintain hordes, and this dragon keeps that horde, and this dragon keeps that horde, and they're all grotesquely generalized, don't you think?
I do.
Dragons like music.
I hate to tell you,
That's something I never hear people talk about.
but you were in the wrong library. Mir's right. They love music.
Some.
Terrible potters, though.
Now, that is not accurate. I have heard of a very particular silver dragon who could throw clay as well as the next artisan.
They're more of a hoarder of whatever it is they're into, like knowledge or gold for some, or,
Cultists. Oh, the green dragons. They're notorious cultist hoarders.
True.
Actually, a big problem where they nest is culting. Anyway, a particular dragon you're interested in?
Well, it seems to me that it's the particular dragons such as the greens and the whites and even the reds. I find that there's very little documentation of them having a sense of humor.
what about they're purple dragons?
Purple dragons.
Well, I can't help but notice that you're covered in purple and gold, right?
But I don't believe I've ever heard of a purple dragon.
Gold dragons, then?
Well, from what I've heard, stuffy shirted, overwrought, holier than thou, righteous. I mean, and plus everyone thinks about the grandeur of the gold dragons. It seems a bit overdone, don't you think?
Is this guy a dragon?
Oh, yeah. Sure is.
So, can I actually try? I'm speaking really slowly because I don't remember the spell and if I even have it. Come on, I can speak with. Are dragons animals?
Very no.
Really?
They're very dragons.
They're not
Oh.
animals.
So they're not technically an animal?
Speaking with Animals works on things that are not very smart.
Ah. Because I was thinking like if I could speak dragon and see how he reacted. That could be kind of
Drift
cool.
into it
Like just
to see if you catch 'em out.
talk to him, start out in common or whatever it is that we're speaking, slip into dragon for a couple of sentences, slip back out, see if he notices. Or how he reacts.
I know what I need to look at on your character sheet to tell you if you can do that. I just have to find it. Notes, description. Description might have it. Description doesn't have it.
Oh, what languages I speak?
Yeah, I'm like, where are
I
languages?
speak common, primordial, and undercommon.
Okay, then I will let you roll a...
Come on, where's my linguistics check?
Yeah, I was going to say. Okay, you can pop your choice of an arcana, history, or religion check
Oh, come on.
to come up with a phrase you've heard in Draconic. Kind of like any of us could probably, as we did when we started the evening off. We've picked up a couple of words and phrases in different languages over our lives. Let's see if on command you can pull one out of your backside to slip into conversation.
Come on, dice. Come on, dice. This
Just
isn't barding, dice.
in a sentence,
It's not barding.
I know where the library is in Dragon.
Oh, suck it. 21.
Yes.
It's not barding, so the dice were cool with it.
We come in peace. Don't dice us. I wonder.
Something hopefully relevant.
I wonder how he
Yeah.
takes that. Let me see something here.
This dude is so a dragon.
Bonk.
This dude is so suspicious, regardless of what he is.
Don't be suspicious.
But I also I feel Rob, I
suspicious.
feel a little bit bad because you've made these characters like Gerald and other characters that aren't supposed to be suspicious, and we are just a very like distrusting crew.
Oh, don't
and So
worry.
you're like the most wholesome person, and we're like, they're evil.
I-
They're
I-
gonna, like,
In this world,
Don't
who
worry.
would you really trust?
Don't worry.
Well, not us.
so
You
far,
wouldn't trust us.
none of you have broken my expectations.
oh, God. Well, the person Mir
Dang
trusts
it.
most is a deceitful, like disguising thief. So maybe their taste is a little bit different.
Do you think that says more about us than them?
Right?
I think it's because we came up with him right after reading this journal where the Lord of the Manor is a bad guy and he's
And
pretty
the
well
first
dressed.
thing he does is lie to us. Like that's not something. Even if he's like, "Oh, I'm just
Well,
a man," like embellishing the truth.
actually,
Like
That probably happens a lot because you don't know if you're now getting in with a party that's bad.
You also don't expect people to roll a natural 20 on an insight check.
That's very true. After she's been rolling sixes. So.
Yeah, and
I
then
know, all night.
roll a 3 on your deception.
I think it was genius of you to lull Rob into a false sense of security like that. Good job.
Yeah.
It was my plan all along.
So Mira starts to say something about interesting places that they've studied dragons, and then slips into and dragons like libraries in Draconic. And he listens for a moment, and I've heard, he says, in Draconic, I've heard that too. And then
well,
winks.
I guess there was a flaw in my plan, which is that dragons aren't the only ones who speak Draconic.
It was a good
Dragonborns.
try.
Oh, okay.
Scholars that study
I don't know much
dragons.
about dragons, so I was like,
I have a super quick question here. So the spell detect magic, if I were to do some type of a stealth or sleight of hand, could I try to hide casting that spell? Is that a
that's cool.
possibility?
What spell is it?
Detect magic?
I mean, because his focus is on me at the front of the wagon right now.
I'll let you roll it, but you have to impress me because it is both verbal and semantic, which means you have to be able to be clearly audible and have free range of motion with your hands.
Okay.
So it's going to be a challenge to hide casting that.
Okay. How do I do?
Just roll your stealth
Okay.
or sleight of hand.
I mean, they're the same stat,
You just
so...
better impress me.
Is this one of your +8s? Let's go.
This is one of those, a 20 total is not a guaranteed success.
Please don't mess with me. Oh,
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 14
Oh?
plus 8.
that's
Was that 23?
that's a dang good roll.
22. You're right. Math.
You know what I'm going to do? And since I am doing this on the table, and bam. Okay. You start to cast your detect magic as he's talking to Mir about great places to find books about dragons, and his Draconic is more solid than yours, but he actually slows down. He doesn't like raise his voice, but he enunciates very clearly and carefully, so that what limited Draconic you can pick up the key words, and he kind of like every time you instinctively bob your head because you caught what the word meant, you can see the corner of his mouth like turn up in a smile.
gotcha.
And
Can I ask a sidebar question?
sidebar.
In D&D, how do players learn new languages? Is it just assumed that, your kind of native proficiencies are what you stick with, or are there ways to like acquire proficiencies in new languages, like we get new spells and stuff?
Generally, when you level up, we talk about it.
Okay.
And usually with languages, we just add them to a character sheet because you've had enough exposure to say you are now fluent in that language.
Or like
Just curious.
Like if you say during a short rest, I spend like an hour studying this language over like a certain amount of time. I've seen some places. I don't know how all DMs do it.
Yeah.
It's a good question to
curious.
figure out later.
Mhm.
Because I would like to up some languages as well.
But yeah, he's definitely having fun. Like, and then he encourages you to answer. And when you start speaking in common, he's like, he like shakes his head like, try to remember this. And he's really like kind of into it. As you start to get through things like, I read a book about a red dragon, or I saw a book. Since obviously you're not going to say you read it, but you'll kind of keep the DL on it. So I saw a book on the red dragon, and it takes you 3 or 4 times to get the word red, as he kind of does as you find it. And then he has like this huge
Shoot,
grin
you're making me like him. Come on.
when you
all
hit
right.
it. And then he slips back into comments. It's an incredibly challenging language. I thought briefly of writing my treatise in Draconic, but then I figured, why? And who would read it?
There's some amazing music that's in Draconic.
Now, there's a why for that. Isn't it lyrical? Like the notes almost sing themselves.
I'm gonna wander up to the front and take over driving and kick Mir back to talk to him.
Ember does her spell, which nobody really sees her cast. Which raises an interesting question. What exactly do you see?
So it says within 30 feet of myself, I can sense magic and a faint aura around any visible creature or object if it bears magic. And I know the school, if any.
Oh, I know what I can say for this. This'll work. Hang on. Let me... because I can't type.
I'm so curious.
Aren't you, though? There is illusion magic surrounding him.
Okay.
I think. Wait. Better yet. Hang on. No. That's what I want to check. It would be transmutation magic.
What does that mean?
See. So, that makes a lot of sense because transmutation would actually move his mass to the size, whereas disguise self, you would still be the same amount of mass. It would just be an illusion on that mass. So if he's a gigantic dragon, he literally transmutated himself down to like the size of a person, maybe? Oh, I don't know. Right? Isn't that how that works?
What do I know? I'm just a GM.
Oh, don't you do that, Rob.
That's what do you don't you do that? That's what I do.
Because I have the disguise self spell, so I would know how that works.
Oh, the
And
illusion spell.
I actually have minor illusion as well.
Also an illusion spell. But I kind of figured that one was self-explanatory.
So, yeah, but like, so those are illusory spells, so I know it's not that, right?
Right.
Okay. I know. I
I'm
now
just gonna keep
know.
fumbling in Draconic with this guy.
Are there any
Scholar?
magical weapons or anything else magical on him, or is it just him that's pinging?
It's just him.
All right.
His stick is a really nice wooden stick.
Okay.
It's got,
I'm not saying anything. No eyebrows. I'm not saying anything.
Oh, you're going to keep a poker face after that?
Yeah.
Not without rolling, you're not.
Sure. Oh. What would you like me to roll? Deception?
Oh, yeah.
Challenging words. I think he just broke Lenarius.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
I love I love that
an
sound. I love that sound at the table.
An 11?
Oh God.
Okay. Okay. No problem. I'll just, for the benefit of everybody else, I'll keep doing my dice where the viewers can see them. Ah. Oh, what do you know? Okay.
Oh no.
It's fun.
It's fun when you can roll that kind of a number and still make your check.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh no.
He's also distracted by Mir's horrific attempts at speaking
Ooh, do I
Draconic.
get advantage?
Yeah, you should get
No.
advantage.
No, because he also watched you casting. So,
He saw me on a 22.
he didn't roll a 23.
Oh, dang. Okay.
It is a dragon.
He,
All right.
he hasn't said anything, though.
But I'm not, okay.
I
I'm
like
just not
this guy.
saying anything.
No, you're not.
So that's fine.
That's fine.
Mir likes this person. Wait, Show, you said that you took the reins and kicked me in the back, right? I think.
Joe,
Tiff?
Tiff?
you're
Oh,
muted.
you're muted, Tiff.
I couldn't find my mute.
Take a shot. Take a shot.
I need a break from work.
Yeah.
All right, I missed the question. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I had asked, because I wasn't sure if you were joking, but you made a comment that you wanted to kick me in the back and take the reins. Were you actually doing that, or was that silliness? Okay, cool.
No, I was
So I
absolutely.
guess I'm sitting with this guy fumbling around with,
Yeah.
You were having some interesting conversation. You seemed engaged, so I thought.
Yeah, he'll lean on the side of the crates and keep talking about musical theory and the Draconic language.
I for sure am sitting on the crate with the magical books in it, though, still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a heads up.
Is there anything that I, as somebody who's newer to D&D, should know about dragons that probably everybody else at the table knows? Like, that's just common knowledge about dragons?
I think the more so question is, does Mir know anything about dragons?
Yeah, I mean,
characters?
so...
Not really.
Okay. Because sometimes when we were talking about some of the other races or species, and I, like, didn't know what,
Right.
like, their quirks or what they were able to do, so...
You're always, the easy out always is that you could roll a history check. Will give you, like, historical events dragons have been at and what they did at them to get some insight into some things dragons have been known for.
Okay.
And similar. The biggest thing about dragons and so far that Mir would know are no different than what anyone who studies fantasy in the modern era would know.
Okay, like it's not like D&D dragons are like, you can't lie in front of them, or like they see through
No,
wood or something. Like, I just want to make sure I'm not missing something.
I would tell you.
Okay.
Although there are... Go ahead.
Are they, because like depending on where you're looking at your lore, like sometimes they're known to be, vicious. Sometimes they're known to be super, like,
Wait, they're known to be
wise. Like it really kind of depends on which like universe like you're talking about. So like which
Okay, so here's what we do. As you're talking about the Draconic language, he leans on the crates next to Amber and glances, and then looks back at Mir. And see, the thing is, people really don't. Well, dragons often get this bad rap as being vicious or massive, but truly, if you read deep into the books, dragons are as unique as, well, genasi.
I'd agree with that.
That all the dragon lore was boring and the same.
I mean, even if you consider you are a water genasi and she is a fire genasi, and Lord knows the number of times I'm going to retell the story of ending up back in the back of a wagon with a fire genasi and a water genasi who are clearly, truly good friends.
Wait, all of that just did this. What?
So say the difference between like a bronze dragon and a silver dragon.
But even
Like those are huge differences.
even
They're really good friends.
And they're great friends.
but even
So basically, it just depends on the dragon.
indeed.
is that-
Now to be fair, there are some, for lack of better word, stereotypes that sometimes
Yeah, those are the ones I want to know.
percolate because they are more often true than not due to certain temperaments, certain ways in which, I mean, we don't hatch fully formed. There's a development phase. There are some
We?
things that are instinctive and some things that are not. But when you break it down, a dragon is just as unique as an individual.
This is the
We?
character talking. I really thought it was Rob.
No, the character definitely referred to dragons as we.
As we.
Oh my
And-
god.
Ember might know something, but Mir definitely doesn't, so Mir's gonna kind of blink and just kind of, we?
People are unique. Genasi, elf, half elf, human.
I've never understood the stereotype of viciousness because, you know, like we were talking about, draconic music is just so beautiful, and in my experience, that often says more about, you know, a person than the stereotypes.
Now you see though, and he reaches into his cloak, and he pulls out a book. Now this is a collection of stories about dragons, and that viciousness is fully earned. Let me show you one of them. He opens it and starts to flip through it. And as he offers it up in front of Mir, and what first appears as relatively indecipherable script the words begin to coalesce into single word or both short phrases underneath animated pictures.
Oh, that's cool.
So that Mir can glance into the book and see the story unfold as a dragon arrives near a farm, demands payment in virgin sacrifice, and when they refuse to hand over the young ladies of town, destroys all of the cattle before moving on. As Mir is reading this, is anyone else looking over her shoulder? Their shoulder?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm staring so intensely.
I'm driving a cart. I don't think I can look over her shoulder.
As Ember stares down at the book, she has to like lean a little bit because the print is really small, and it's all at a very tight, professionally printed font. It's very well written, very colorful language, detailing how a dragon arrived in a village and demanded yada 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 yada. And it is,
So I'm not seeing what Mir's seeing.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
no, it's a professionally printed book. You can even see the edges where the press came down and left little like lines on the edge of each page.
My detect magic would still be up. Do I detect magic from this book?
There's probably some illusion magic attached to it.
Okay. As long as it's nothing harmful.
And then as Jansen leans over, the elven script is in nice, neat columns down the page. Each collection of elven kanji perfectly formed.
Oh, this is cool. I want a book like this in real life.
No.
This is really cool.
That's right, folks. Bryant has Google Translate in a book.
I love that you gave me professionally printed instead of a pop-up book too, by the way. Perfect. I do have a +5 to intelligence.
I have a -1 to wisdom.
It's a
Yeah,
track.
that's very on brand. On brand. So I guess this story obviously is very
Terrifying.
does not paint the dragons in yeah, and it does not paint the dragons in a good light. So I think maybe Mir will ask, you know, all legends and all tales really depend on who has written them and who is telling them, and often the truth is not quite what is told in the tale.
Do you know where I heard this particular tale?
From a
Let
dragon.
me guess, you're the main character.
Oh, hardly.
Yeah.
But you would think that a tale that paints a dragon, this particular white dragon, as it were, so horrifically, must have surely come from one of the would-be virgin sacrifices. Maybe
I'm guessing
from a
not.
father afraid that his daughter would be taken off, or from a farmer that watched its cattle slaughtered. This story I heard from a man who claimed to be the white dragon. And I have no reason to disbelieve.
Are dragons known to take the form of other creatures?
Well, I guess one would ask, would you have stopped to pick up somebody on the side of the road that was a massive dragon?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, were I a dragon, obviously I would not be. But
Of course.
there's many, many stories. Some even have been known to fall in love while transformed into a human or elven form.
Why you guys
seems
say
very
elven
tragic.
form? Don't talk about me.
Well, I was actually thinking of a very, very beautiful tale from many ages ago of a silver dragon who fell in love with a human knight.
I'm not interested.
And she
I'm interested.
assumed
interested.
the form of an elven warrior so that she could stand at his side in battle.
Oh. I'm guessing Show is like getting more and more distracted with the romance story.
If I recall correctly, he fell.
I'm totally taking tips and trying not to like swerve as I'm listening.
Right.
He fell.
I'll
in
take the
battle.
notes for you, Show.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Keep going. Nice and loud.
Here, wait. I have my notebook, my fancy leather notebook.
So now, enough about me. What on earth has the four of you, amazingly and quite literally colorful characters, traveling the road to Waterdeep?
Books?
Really?
Transportation service for the library.
You know, my best friend is Connie, and she works at Candlekeep. And when she called me up and told me she had a job, I would never turn Connie down.
I don't remember meeting a Connie.
She has all the clockwork badgers and bears
Little
that are
thing?
running around.
Shorter,
Yeah.
bit full of herself.
Well, she is a magnificent woman with in her own right, and yeah, I mean a little bit, sure, but let's chalk it to confidence.
Sure. Confidence. That tracks.
Confident, or are you full of yourself?
And potato, I suppose.
It depends on who's asking.
So,
huh?
so what exactly? I mean, they're books. Why on earth did they need so many? You had an adventure tied to these books, didn't you?
Well,
We have lots of adventures. Sometimes books come along for the ride. Sometimes they're a great way to start an adventure.
Hmm?
There's, safety in numbers, as you have figured out. And if there are multiple people traveling to the same destination, you might as well group up and go together.
Well, that's quite reasonable. So these are. I'm sorry. I have such a challenge believing that you're transporting simple, mundane texts.
Our
Why are you
texts
being
never
so
mundane.
nosy?
I'm sorry.
are you a hoarder of knowledge, stories, or physical books?
Oh, myself. I like to study.
Mic drop.
You like to study, but are you a hoarder of knowledge, the stories, or the physical books?
Well, I suppose I would say the stories, as I do consider myself a bit of a writer.
Well then, boy, can I say stories. And I just spill the Mordecai story of being in the mansion when we first showed up from beginning to end. Not the latest, not Shemsheim's.
Oh, he
but
starts.
The mansion
He takes
story.
that book back out from under his robe, and pulls a quill out of his sleeve and begins to write in it.
And I go into, I literally get out because I drew a map and everything. I get out the map. I have pictures of the fairy dragons. I have pictures of the murder toads. Where's my camera? Murder toads.
Murder
I've got pictures of cats. I've got pictures of homunculi. I mean, this is quite a tale. And we've got pictures to prove it.
Fascinating. And those books are the ones that you're transporting?
No.
So what job has this Connie or have you following up?
Like I said, she's my best friend, Connie. And if she just needs some books transported to her cousins over here, then I'm gonna do it for her. Even if they're mundane books.
Fascinating. You are going to roll me a
Insight check, yes.
no
Or deception.
Deception.
Come on, Ember.
Oh, please don't do me wrong, my friend. Oh my god, it was on a 1. It was on a 1. I almost passed out.
What did it land
It's
on?
a 23.
Oh, shit.
I don't think you understand.
right.
This is... Oh, I truly almost passed out. It was on a 1 for so long.
Oh, goodness.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Also, I asked if dragons have any kind of innate sort of you can't lie in front of them thing. Because it was like we're...
No, I think that they
hella-
just have a very high DC
Like
to like
insight,
freaking
yeah.
everything.
They have a pretty good persuasion bonus. Yeah. They're pretty cool that way.
I like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mir extra is like geeking out. Somebody's is geeking out about music and stuff. I think.
Unless anyone plans anything of high interest, he is happy
No.
to will the rest of the afternoon into swapping stories.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can we? Man, it's hard to have him in here with us because we can't confer with each other. But I'm wondering if telling him the story of Sarah, who we met along the way, is, we're not super invested in this, but it could be something that would be an interesting tale to tell him and see.
Yeah,
his
I think as
reaction.
long as the thing that I'm more, and obviously I'm not, this is the player saying this, as long as it's not about what we're hauling, I don't really care.
Yeah. So I think if we leave out the bit about her really focusing on the books, maybe. So yeah, I guess along the way, I'll share with him the story of the. Yeah. No, go.
We found the story. In your Bardic travels, you came across the story.
As the sun starts to set, you're still a good day and a half from Waterdeep, and as you pull the wagon off and start to unhitch the horse, he will immediately volunteer to head down the hill to that copse of trees to gather firewood.
Did we ever make it to
Someone
the
should go with
meadery?
him.
I can go with him.
I'll go.
Okay. I'm gonna say that at some point we stopped the meadery in the winery.
Yeah, you probably did. You bought a couple of bottles.
Yeah.
I'm talking.
I'm definitely sharing bottles with this guy. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was actually taking off so you would have an opportunity to fully confer without him in earshot.
Oh, got it.
Oh, that was nice.
Well, that's just the DM giving you an out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you have
Rob, you're so nice.
if you have any other planning you want to do, now's the time to do it.
So, I mean, this is where, Ember, do you want to tell us about, I know Jansen's not here, but you could tell us about maybe your magic check?
Yes.
Or,
So
sorry, I
he
forgot
is
what it's called.
definitely
Keep
using.
Jansen for now. Keep Jansen for now.
Yeah. We'll give him
Okay.
a few minutes. We can keep an eye out. He's not that far.
He definitely lied about being robbed, but he
Was that
didn't
to-
lie about coming from Candlekeep, right?
That might have been so that he didn't think the new people who were passing him on the road might want to rob him.
Yeah, and he's using some type of conjuration magic
Transmutation.
on transmutation magic on his physical being. But I honestly, you guys, like, I don't really get like a terrible vibe from this guy. He's kind of cool. And like, we all have
So-
our secrets. Just
But he's a-
sweating.
He's a dragon then.
I mean, I don't.
said
It'd be
we.
amazing if he was a dragon, but the chances of that. I mean, what are the odds we'd run into a dragon, It'd be
True.
amazing.
What are the
Think of
odds we
the
run into a
stories.
clockwork badger and a book that can hypnotize and kill people?
Sure, but those, I
Also
mean,
true.
that was a given. But
Oh, yeah, I'm trying. Hey, yeah. So, Jansen, when you're dealing with spirits, what do you think we could do to connect with the Sarah better or get more information? What do you think? Also, totally a dragon, sorry.
Would I have the ability to do something like that?
Mm. Jansen has the
Try.
most experience talking with
Spiritual-
spirits. Now, granted, most of them involve screaming at them to leave them alone, but
I could try.
Think about it. If it comes up, we'll bow to your
Yeah, sure.
expertise, sir.
yeah. What do you want to try to do something, or you just want to kind of file that away as a thing to think about?
Oh, let's go ahead and try it.
Okay, what do you want to try?
I'm going to pull the book out and hand it to Jansen. Think this will help at all? I don't know.
Yeah. So what do you want me to
Concentrate
try to? What do you want me to try to do with it?
See if we can connect to her, I guess. Let her know we're found her journal or
Okay. Yeah.
I don't are willing to help.
I guess I'm gonna try to like think about my spirits when they would kind of show up and try to do the same thing. Like
Okay.
the same thought
Okay.
vibrations or whatever.
Okay, so you can start to kind of like commune with the thinking about how you addressed the demons,
Yeah.
how you might focus them,
Mhm.
how you'd have those moments of anger and rage, and usually they would they'd feed into that.
Mm-hmm. Or self doubt. Yeah.
You know what? Do me a favor. I have an idea. Give me a. Go ahead and roll Jansen's Arcana.
I think it's the first time I've ever done it. It's a +6, but I rolled a 6, so it's 12.
That's a 12. O, O, and O, and then O, and then a boom. Okay.
+6 to
boom.
Arcana? That's incredible.
It's the first time I've ever used it too.
You need to use it all the time.
I don't know what to use it for.
It's for,
I just
magic smarts.
Apparently talking to spirits and getting us jobs.
I don't have spells. I have Misty Step. That's the only thing in my spell
Well,
pocket.
yeah. So you start to kind of reflect on this and think about it and think about how your anger demons were tied to that anger and how your self-doubt would feed them into feeding your self-doubt. And you start to think about how Sarah seems to be coming at you from a different direction. Her spirit's not tied to anger and self-doubt. It has to be tied to something else. So you start to focus more on the emotions you've seen from her the terror, the fear, the how much of the journal have you heard from Show?
I mean, I've been there for all of it.
Okay.
I would have filled him in on it on our ride.
Okay. So you start
So-
reflecting on the squire nearby and that little bit of, I mean, you've heard of young love, and start to focus on that. And for a moment, you can feel the world around you start to fade away as nothing but blackness begins to envelop you and pull you into the book.
Am I still physically there? Like everyone else can see me?
Everyone else watches as you sit down with your legs crossed, set the book on your lap, close your eyes, and completely tune out of the world.
Cool. Okay.
And after a short pee break, we will talk about what happens as you commune with the book. We'll see you right back in 5 minutes. Wow. Well, you can roll your damage. I don't.
25. Because I got 3 sixes.
Holy cow.
Oh my goodness.
She's hulked out.
Rage hard.
Yeah, I think you should rage all the time. I think you
I
should
like this
never
rage,
not
yeah.
never
This
not be
is
raging.
it. Well, I
There's
only get
where all our
2.
good rolls were hiding.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's why they were so bad earlier. We were saving up. But... Stop hitting my friends.
Oop, wrong
You know,
way.
damage books with that kind of attitude.
Well played. Wow. Got herself, just stole a ship.
Holy God.
There's a reason they call her the upstart.
Oh my God. Can't even believe that worked.
Gentlemen, I am your new captain.
Yes. Punch the. No, I know that's a bad idea.
There is so much nope surrounding this trap. I am not here for an amulet. I am here for a traumatized rogue. Let's get the fuck out of here. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's 2.
Well, I wasn't really concerned about the amulet. I
Maybe re-roll.
Yeah, re-roll it. Re-roll it. The birds are
Yeah.
important.
Everyone's
We
in on
screwed
the
these-
reroll.
I screwed these birds
Alright.
up earlier. We need
Come
a
on.
high roll.
We got this.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Oh no. Oh my.
So,
Every time! I'm the bard that
Amazing.
does not want to be a. I'm really bad at being a bard.
That is amazing.
Worst bard ever.
Yikes.
Yes.
The good news is, after this adventure, you can start taking levels of anything else.
Anything else? What the hell?
Going, why am I here?
I legit have been screaming this entire time. So you know what? What is the health of
You're
everybody
also
right now?
full health. You want to like come
All right,
back and join
everyone's
the battle?
full health.
Like, no, we're not. The rest
All
of
right.
us are like highly injured. You're on
Yeah,
the
we're
outside
all
full
hurting
health. You
pretty
wanna, like,
bad.
The
help out a little
Jamboard
bit?
says that everybody's. Oh,
Oh, refresh.
Refresh
Never mind.
that. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Ember's alive because I just healed for 12. Show is at 12 out of 41.
You
You're
were
like
literally
farting
seeing
around
full
on the
health
outside of
this
the circle.
entire
Like,
time,
come
weren't you,
join
Yansen?
me. I'm full health. Y'all.
Shep
I'm gonna have a
didn't
picnic
have a
over here.
spot on the jam of the thing, and I was just like, oh, I don't know.
I think we.
Throaty chuckle fills the hall. And I'll hydrate after that.
Does it just sound like Bowser from Mario 64?
I gotta grab a refill and then I'll hydrate.
And I'll refresh this so we can see the results of the command. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hang on, guys.
Well, that just sounds like Jabba the Hutt.
Solo.
Go ahead and roll me a performance check. Maybe the dice are going to favor you at the moment.
Also, are
Can't
we
be an
can we-
intimidation? I can't like intimidate the rhyme
No.
with my music. Okay.
No.
Well,
Can
I
we
thought I would
specialize
try.
It's an intimidation music.
Or I
though.
can't persuade them to not sing with my music. Okay.
What's up,
Can
Molly?
Can we do anything when we're singing, or is that like it takes up our whole action?
Oh, it doesn't.
Come on.
It doesn't. Oh, good lord. Yeah,
Finally.
I'm over here trying.
I finally can bard. For just
Yeah.
let me bard. I never get to bard. I'm always doing failing rolls when it comes to bard skills.
The bard
This
is
the
being
first
the
time.
But you're barding when it's most important.
It's about time.
MVP.
Sweden is my lucky country.
No
All right.
kidding.
Oh no, that whole love interest thing. That's right. Oh, I forgot. I almost killed him.
I'm heading that way. I'll tackle
Oh,
her
she
ass
already
again.
has the potion. She already has the potion.
No, she just handed you the book, and as soon as your hands touched it, she let go and run.
She's not going to take the potion?
She's got bigger fish to fry, like getting her ass out of there. You shot her.
I'm trying to unshoot her to the best of my abilities.
It seemed like a good idea.
You're swinging again.
Oh man,
Wow,
this
this
guy.
guy's tough.
What's up with this guy?
He's
What? What? This doesn't happen. This doesn't happen. All right, we're going. Let's go.
Okay.
And followed by the smite. Come on, Timber. We got this.
I mean, if he doesn't go down now, I don't know.
And
but
he
then-
finally drops.
Yes.
And is out of the scrap. Gets the. Okay. And now we're back.
Doorbell just rang.
And thank you for that, Zoggy. I've had some really great experiences at the game table. And so I'm very blessed to be able to do things like chronicle the best moments of those. Whether they are, it can't be much worse than this, or did you refresh the combat tracker, or all the other interesting things that have come down the pipeline at the game table.
Oh, that was a rough one.
But it's kind of neat because I don't know about everybody else, but my game table pre-pandemic, someone was in charge of the yellow legal pad that was the quote pad. And whenever someone had a brilliant thing, it got written down at the end of the session. We'd have a remembrance of quotes, which is kind of cool, but I like my clips a little bit more.
Don't we have a command?
We do.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, and perfect. Look at that. It's almost like it read. It read what you were saying. Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite Jansen moments. Was that you
It
guys are like
is.
all at full
It's
health?
so
Oh
fucking-
no!
What's your problem? Oh, 'cause I
Yeah,
think
that was
Air
my
at
bad.
3, and we had
That was my
already
bad.
stopped them being lower than 3 like 3 times.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my god.
Much
So
fun.
we're like, we can't get out of this because anything will produce an attack of opportunity and Mir dies.
That was a good fight.
Good. That was a good fight.
Good fight.
And it was brilliant and fun for me. And then we'll get back to our current game. And for those that weren't present for that session, a particular witch attempted to steal all 4 of the characters' souls by sending their shadow selves after them. And it was particularly fun because I just remade all 4 characters and controlled them. So given the fact that, Ember could throw all kinds of crazy damage with a backstab, so could Shadow Ember. It was really fun.
So yeah, they can go back and find that episode, right?
Oh yeah,
I
it was
think it's
the
referenced in the 3/6/2021. Yeah.
Yep. Well, it's on the
Totally worth it.
YouTube. There's definitely a playlist for all the Candlekeep adventures, so you can see everything going back to episode 1, or episode 0, actually, our session 0 when we started, and then taking us all the way through today.
And we're really good in all of them.
Oh yeah, yeah. There is a clip of you going, "Oh my God, we're murder hobos."
Yeah. That's
so, it is.
Hell.
So note to DMs: even if you use milestone advancement, your players may still self-label that way.
It's a very different kind of self-identifying, but it's there.
I will save that other thought for later because we'll be here all night talking other stuff if we don't. When we left for the break, Jansen was communing with the book, and after a bit of hesitation, finds themselves standing in a manor house. The walls are tight. The hallway is small. You can walk comfortably down it, but if two people were to pass, they'd have to turn their shoulders, maximizing the space. So it would be a fairly comfortable house if you had to live tight.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. At the end of the hall, you can see the flickers of flames in a room, and you can see a girl peering through the half-open door. And Dave, welcome aboard. We're glad to have you here. Thank you for that amazing bit of cheer. We'll see if it comes into play tonight. The party has thusly avoided combat and actually made some pretty dang good rolls. As Jansen
Did we make an ally?
Maybe. As Jansen creeps down the hall, they will immediately smell sulfur and brimstone.
Well, go ahead and keep going.
You get closer and you see the girl who's peering through the door. There's a moment where she leans in a bit more and the door just swings open as she misjudges how much weight to put against it or the door frame, flooding the hallway with yellow light. You can't see clearly into the room around the doorway, but you can see as the girl picks herself up from the floor, she looks terrified. And in that moment, you recognize her immediately as the ghost you saw earlier.
Okay. I'm going to see if she can, I don't think she can see me. I'm pretty sure this is, all in the past, but I'm just going to try to see if I can interact with her at all.
Okay, so you approach her.
Mm-hmm.
As you continue to get closer, she pulls herself to her feet, turns, and bolts towards you.
Stand there.
She goes right through you.
Right. Okay.
You can hear something in the room. You can investigate.
She just came from?
Mm-hmm.
How far, away is she?
Just a few feet behind you by now, or a few feet forward into the room.
I'm going to follow her.
Okay.
It's always the pause and then the okay, if you really think that's your best plan.
No.
It's go ahead.
That's the DM going, I was positive you were going to do the other thing.
That's great. That's exactly what I thought.
I'm
cool.
processing the consequence of not what I expected. Stop being so excited about that.
Okay.
I'll drop an orange couch on you.
No, keep it up. Keep it up.
As long as it's not a chair.
Giant orange couch mimic.
No!
They had mimics in the 70s. That explains so much.
I mean, what are beanbags but just toothless mimics? Can you get out of a beanbag?
No.
You
Oh my
cannot.
God, that's so true.
As Jansen turns and charges down the hallway after the servant, you can hear something behind you moving in the room. First, it's this weird, gross sound of flesh on wood, and then the more clean clack of polished shoes striding across the room and slamming the door. You chase the girl down a flight of stairs into a small room next to the kitchen, where she takes out her journal and immediately begins to write feverishly.
Okay, I'm gonna walk over and try to see what she's writing.
She's writing the last entry in the diary that you had found earlier. She turns the page and just begins to try to draw. And you watch as she goes from the ink pot to the page, trying to get the blackness of the creature. As she puts the last details on its tentacled legs, she throws the quill to the side, holds the book out, and looks at it in horror. Then she slams it shut, clutches it to her chest, and curls up with her back to the wall, staring at the door.
Why would she be terrified of the thing that she drew, of the thing that she saw when she saw the thing? Like, she was surprised that she drew it. Like, why would she have that reaction to drawing it?
Because that was what she saw and she was terrified?
Yeah.
But she already saw it, so why would she react to drawing?
Because she's still afraid.
I think she was still terrified from having seen it. That's why she drew it.
But
of course, we're not there either.
Yeah, I think she's worried it's gonna come through her door, after her.
I guess the thing that I'm confused about is if she frantically drew it and then looked at it and then acted re-terrified. That would almost be like she was trying to draw it to see if the thing that she saw was a thing that she knew, and then she drew it and then she realized what it was and then she was terrified.
That, or she drew it because she knew she wasn't gonna live and she wanted someone to find this book to warn
How did she
them.
react? What exactly did she do after she finished drawing it?
She had time to look at it.
Yeah.
Process again what she had seen.
Okay.
And then slam the book shut on the still wet ink pages.
Staring in horror at her door now.
I think it was just she stared at it and it's really sinking in what she saw, and so it made her even more terrified.
I'm gonna try to find a way to interact with my surroundings and is in any way possible.
You start to reach around the room and everything reacts in the sense that you can put your hand on it, but you can't physically move anything.
But so we have Sarah's perspective from her journal. So we kind of already know what she's seen and what she's written, but we don't know what's in that room. We don't know what happened in the room. Because she ran away.
We also don't know what happened to her.
Jansen has enough time to try to explore, and you go to pick up the candlestick, and it just, you can put your hand on it, but you can't move it. And you're playing with that for the moment when the door to her room slams open. A man in a noble's doublet stands there. His eyes are shock black all the way through and seem to be leaking out the sides into the air, black, tarish smoke. He has a curved dagger in his hand, and rather than charging at the girl, he charges at you.
I knew it. No, I didn't actually. Keep going.
You have enough time to turn and start to scream when he
I scream?
I would assume.
That doesn't sound very Jansen at all.
You're right. You have enough time to make a war chant.
There we go.
Except that your body fails to block the blade before it plunges into the center of your chest.
So do I see Jansen in real life do anything?
You watch, after a few moments of Jansen beginning her trance, her eyes fly open as she lets out a guttural scream that she usually gives right before she breaks something in half with her bare hands.
So am I awake?
And you're awake now.
Jansen,
Did
you
I
okay?
recognize the guy?
You have not met him before, but he was incredibly well dressed.
The assumption being he's probably the Lord
And
and possessed by the demon.
where the girl's leather doublet and bodice had the symbol of the house, Yellowcrest, carved into the leather, at his shoulder was a large gold brooch that was a collection of the tree with those 3 yellow gems in it.
Are you okay? What did you see? Did you see the girl?
Yeah, that Lord guy is either naturally evil or is demonically possessed of sorts. And
Why not go with both?
And you're
I don't
sure
know.
it was the Lord and not the Squire?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. This guy was very well to do, if you know what I'm saying. And I'm not sure if he actually saw me, but he attacked me, not her. But I couldn't touch anything else. But he attacked me, not her.
But if he was possessed, then maybe he can see differently than
like maybe he's on like an astral plane.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that indicate that in some way I was actually attacked then? Not just living the series of events as if I were her for a more dramatic effect? Wouldn't that mean that he actually did see me?
Do you have any bruises or cuts?
Good question.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and like examine myself.
No, you're not.
And is the dragon guy like just still kind of
Gathering firewood?
firewood this whole time?
Yeah, well, I don't think this took very long.
No, she was
Okay.
only in a trance for a few moments.
We talked about a little bit, and then I asked her about this. So, are you okay?
Yeah, I don't seem to have any issues. Can I do like a
I assume you kind of gave us a
insight
rundown. so.
into what just happened?
What do you look? What question would you like to ask?
If he really did actually like see me, or if it was just me experiencing things from like.
There definitely was a sign that he could identify someone was present in the memory.
Interesting. Can I try to go back in?
Not tonight. But definitely if you get some rest, you could try again.
And she's nowhere to be found right now.
Not at the moment, no. The ghost seems to be giving you a fairly wide berth.
Maybe she
And I
just
haven't
needed
seen
to
that
find the
dagger
book.
before either. Oh, guys, there was a dagger. Have you seen anything in any of your books about this like weird dagger thing by any chance?
If she describes it, can I roll a history or something and see if I've come across it before?
This would qualify as something that any of you may have stumbled into with rumors, but it definitely sounded like some kind of a ceremonial dagger.
I have a question.
Arcana?
Jansen, did you get a good look at the face of and the dress of the guy who attacked you?
Oh yeah. Full frontal.
If you described it to me, would I Jesus. I don't know if I need to go that far. If you were able to describe that to me, would I be able to tell if it was the Lord or the Squire?
Yes.
The Squire just visited. I think from the from the pages we probably know it was the Lord.
Yeah, as she describes it, that sounds very much like, that's Waterdavian nobles, short capes held up with a brooch of their family crest. Yeah, that's spot on.
But like hair color, maybe eye color, features.
You had
like
never met Lord Yellowcrest.
Okay.
Your paths did not cross in a way that you had either known that he was him or that you knew. Yeah, no.
Okay.
It's a big city.
Yeah.
So if you ever crossed paths with him, it was under conditions in which he was not being called Lord Yellowcrest.
Got it.
as it were.
Ooh. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna bank that.
Enticing.
As you check on Jansen, make sure that they're okay. You can see that Brindad is coming back, and he's tied several sticks together to make a basket to put the sticks in that he can hang off his back, so he has a full night's firewood with him.
Oh.
And some deadfall that he found by the tree. Okay, he's not moving fast as he's lumbering it up the hill towards you.
Yeah, I'll jog up and help him.
Don't you lot have things to do. I'm not dead yet. I can make this last 100 feet on my own. Thank you very much.
I thought you want some company.
Respect.
I do shed quite a bit of light.
You do. But you will need to sleep at some point. And
I don't need to sleep very much. I just need to, meditate for a little bit. Do you sleep?
Quite soundly, usually.
Beautiful.
He puts the wood down. So who's put together the fire pit? Or were you
put it together?
You were occupied.
I mean, I kind of am a walking fire pit. I can set.
He starts to put the wood together. So tell me about that book you all seem to be so focused on.
No.
Well.
Or don't.
Well, no, we happened across. First, let me ask you this. A traveled man such as yourself, do you believe in spirits?
Oh, there are more things than on heaven and earth that can be dreamt of in a philosophy book.
Oh, we ran into a ghost girl, and she looks terrified. And we found her notebook, and we've been kind of doing a little investigating of that.
Oh, that's quite the find. Is that the one that that Connie sent you with?
No. So we found this ghost girl, and you're from Waterdeep too. It's the yellow stone. Am I wrong?
You remember the Yellowcrest mystery
Yellowcrest.
a couple years ago?
You know the Yellowcrest family from like 5 years ago when all that craziness happened. It was like the talk of the town.
Which town?
Waterdeep.
Oh, was I in Waterdeep 5 years ago? No, I think I was in Baldur's Gate then.
Oh, you missed it. It was just the talk of the frickin' city.
Some kind of party?
No, so the Tanner, the Yellowcrest Tanner. Yeah, I mean, you've heard of them, right? They're pretty, they're an all right Tanner, but they're like up there.
Okay.
Anyway, he went off to check on his hunting lodge tannery, and his entire frickin' household died. All their tongues cut out. It was a big to-do.
Oh, that sounds absolutely horrific.
Wait.
Yeah, I mean, Waterdeep, so.
Wait, but...
Wait. He wasn't gone.
Wait.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's what they said happened, but we don't think he was gone.
Jansen, what is it?
But the lady chick person with the... she was with the... Why would it...
She was a servant. She was one of the 4 servants.
Right.
So the 2 sons, the daughter, the wife, and the 4 servants all got
found
slashed
dead, right?
in the stomach and their tongues cut out.
Mm-hmm. And that story that we told you earlier, about... Because we did tell him already about the story about meeting, like, a ghost, and we just made it sound like it was sort of just a thing that happened. Like, we have found the diary of that servant, and she keeps appearing to us.
Yeah.
Oh, sounds like
so that's the book that we're looking at.
Sounds like there's some unfinished business to be had.
Truly.
That's That is a noble quest to be on, my friends.
Here, take a peek, and I'll flip open the
please,
servants.
please. I have enough noble quests under my robes to last me 10 lifetimes. I appreciate the invitation, but I fear my time for taking on the helping spirits find rest manner of things are for a younger generation.
Actually, I have one question that your scholarly knowledge might be able to help us with.
Oh?
I'm going to take the book and open it to the picture of the creature. What do you think of that?
I think she used a lot of ink when she drew it.
Actually, you see, I actually know why it looks kind of like Wonka Pie.
Please do tell.
She slammed the book shut when the ink was still wet, so that's actually not quite what the creature probably looks like.
So it doesn't have massive eyes with different facets on them, tentacles surrounding its lower body, and what I'm counting to be 5 limbs, which I would guess are ending in hooked claws.
And that would be what kind of a creature?
Damned if I know. I mean, I would assume something demonic or primeval, perhaps. I mean, depending on the circumstance, my gut reaction is an elder great one, but God help any that cross paths with those.
One of the old gods that isn't considered a god anymore, isn't it?
Well, try telling them that they're not a god anymore. That's a surefire way to lose
Try not to be near enough them to tell them anything.
Indeed. I mean, that would be my first reaction, but I mean, I should hope that if your efforts to put to rest a spirit haunted by such a thing is something more mundane like a demon or perhaps some kind of construct than an elder god.
But say it was an elder god. Isn't that intriguing? That's a story for a lifetime.
That absolutely would be quite the story. And we are going to pause the story here for just a moment to acknowledge that Kraken has brought his entire family over here at the end of our session. We are going to recap where we are, and we're going to say a little bit more about what's coming along. And we're not running out on you, but our dear friend Jesse here is in Sweden, and so it's playing on Sweden time. So if you add 6 hours to the current time on the East Coast, you get an idea of how late she's up tonight. So we cannot play much longer, but we are going to play a little bit more in order to say thank you to the raiders who came in. My name is Rob, aka Lantern Noir. I'm the DM of this particular session. These are my amazing players. At the moment, they have found themselves in the possession of a haunted book from which a ghost has appeared, encouraging them to help her spirit find rest. At the same time, they've come across an old man walking down the road who has been slowly working his way into their good graces, mostly because the DM just is finally figuring out how to get in the good graces of 4 highly suspicious players. The good news is, unlike previous encounters, no one's tried to murder him yet. The last time the DM introduced a new player to the group, there was a knife at his throat about 8 minutes in.
I kind of think we're all secretly in love with this guy, to be honest with you.
Let's be real. I think we're all like...
Nope, I hate him.
7
I think
minutes.
he can be more helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very Jansen, though.
Yes.
More with Jansen than I usually am.
And Jansen doesn't have demons calling in the background anymore. So no one is telling Jansen to murder somebody.
That's why I'm not actively trying to kill him. I'm just thinking about the fact that I don't like him and he's stupid.
I don't think he's stupid. More helpful, but
yeah,
he's not stupid. He's not that helpful.
The older man kind of looks at you. So do you have a plan for this quest you find yourselves on?
We thought about asking this random stranger that we turned up on the road, who's been very educated and scholared and been all these other places, that they might have some idea. But
I mean,
we'll try something else.
Yeah, you're a learned man, and I feel like you've collected so many stories and so much knowledge. It'd be invaluable, your input.
Well, but you see, my expertise is not so much in spirits and fallen elder gods as it is, as we said earlier, in draconic matters, tales of dragons, the draconic language, the music of dragons, as it were. I'm afraid you're quite outside my expertise. Now, if you wanted to talk about a particular tome, the contents of which may contain a particularly infectious song that could, for example, drive those that heard it mildly insane, and a particular use that a scholar may have had for that particular book, well, now that would be more within my realm of expertise.
Want?
Oh gosh, no.
What an interesting
You want something
hypothetical. Hypothetically, if such a thing were to exist, what would that have to do with your draconic intrigue?
Well, if you recall earlier, I spoke of a particular white dragon that was particularly brutal.
Yeah.
So all I can think is, what if this particular little book, a book that you had perhaps, and the DM is now doing this for the Raiders' benefit, in a previous adventure found yourselves at each other's literal throats as the infection of the song within the book drove you slowly insane, back in character. If this particular book were to, say, find its way into the hoard of a particularly nasty white dragon, a white dragon known for demanding virgin sacrifices, or she would eradicate all of the cattle from a village.
And hypothetically, if
you no. Ember, hang on.
Okay.
Not hypothetical. Just tell us. Tell us, maybe we can help.
Wow.
But if you're just hypothetical, then we hypothetically know about the book you're speaking.
But if I say...
Can Mir just while they're kind of dancing around this, can Mir just get up and go grab the book?
I was one of the last surviving people of this village destroyed by a white dragon who got pissed off because we wouldn't give him our virgin girls. Could that possibly be the start? And you'd like to use the book to destroy the dragon?
So Mir comes back with the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just cut to the chase.
Well, I won't say...
We don't want this book needs to be safe. We have seen what this book can do.
I can't guarantee that if I were to give you directions to a particular white dragon's lair, which I am led to believe is within a day's ride of here, that book would be safe once deposited in the lair. But I can guarantee that this particular dragon, she's clever, but she has quite a hoard. It would take her months to find a small book left there.
You had me at a particularly large hoard.
Oh God. Okay. Ember just if we wake up and Ember's gone, we know where Ember's gone.
Look, the white dragon's been there for a while, right? It's probably not going anywhere for a while.
But once that book finds its way into the secret vaults of Candlekeep, the places they lock away the nasties and the scaries, the things never to be seen again, their little spot to put the Ark of the Covenant for everyone's good.
Where are we coming from?
Why would we want this book out in the world, though?
Because think of the justice that could be done if that particular Melady were to infect a dragon.
That sounds terrible because that dragon would then go and be even more violent.
She'd never leave her lair. She'd be too busy trying to destroy the source of the song.
And you don't think there's ever going to be a group of adventurers that's going to go and kill the dragon and accidentally find this book with all this treasure and release it again into the world?
Can I ask a sidebar question?
Go for it.
Does Dragonfire have any kind of, I don't know. So in dragon stories I've read, a lot of times Dragonfire has certain properties. It can destroy things that cannot be destroyed. It can destroy magic. So is this could be a way for us if that property holds in D&D couldn't this be a way to like destroy this rather than risk it being locked up and 100 years go by and we get a repeat of Candlekeep where we forgot about this book and now we have this infection again. Like
you see now the DM will say maybe.
Okay.
Brendette will say, well, I understand a concern to be had about possibly the value of destroying a book versus locking it away. But I have a particular geese blocking me from directly intervening. But if this book were to end up in her hoard and be left there for a period of time, I think you and I could make an arrangement to ensure that the book ends up destroyed. I could use that time to verify a means by which, because let's be honest, the librarians of Candlekeep don't destroy dangerous books. It's anathema to the very cause of a librarian to let it. Surely you can agree with this show. Destroying a book is just not to be done.
There are situations.
Well, so you're slightly more progressive than your Candlekeep peers.
Seen things.
But
how does he know that we have the Shemsheim chum stuff?
Because he is an all-knowing dragon.
No, he was in Candlekeep, and I think honestly he was there when we were, and is just smart enough maybe to have tracked us, followed us, something,
Yeah. I'm really sorry about this, Mr. I'm sorry, Brimen.
Bernadette, you may call me.
Bernadette, got it.
Remember.
You wouldn't happen to have a lover's quarrel going on here, would you?
Oh gosh, no.
No? Okay, great. So, yeah, you're kind of sort of, I don't like you. I think you're evil and you should probably, be careful because my sword does have a pointy end.
I mean, evil is subjective.
There are also three other people here, so I think we should probably make the decision about whether or not to make this deal with him together.
I think it's something we should sleep on.
Yes.
You have my word, I will not abscond in the night with any of your things, books to be included. Although I would, as I understand the water dance, would greatly appreciate if you might perhaps summon a bit of water.
Well,
I'd like to
I thought I'd see if maybe you'd like some food.
Well, that and, I'd like to put my feet up for a night.
Oh, of course.
Most excellent. And I hope.
Wait, what?
Hope that on the morning, we might come.
You're
to
welcome
an agreement.
to stay. Don't make us regret it.
Wait,
Here's
am I lost? Did you say summon water to go to bed?
Well, to clean up with.
Yeah, to like wash and like.
Got it. I was like, you need a water
He's
bed
dusty.
to go to sleep.
Yeah, his bottom half of his body is caked in dust.
I was like, what bougie guy needs a water bed specifically to go to sleep? Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness.
I love the fact that apparently Mir can summon a water bed and we haven't been using it.
I mean,
You've been sleeping on the ground all this time, which is perfect. We're right at the 3-hour mark. We leave the party on an interesting decision point. And then we can let Jesse get to bed at a decent hour. It's like all wins.
Decent hour?
Yeah, 2 a.m.
So we pin the story at this point, as one does at the end of a session. And I think I'd love to go around the table, have everyone, since we have all those raiders that are still hanging out with us, we should do a round of introductions as to who we are, who we're playing tonight, and then I guess maybe a highlight from a moment that sticks out as a fun memory of this evening. We can go reverse order from last time. Lenarius. Do you mind kicking us off?
So us or our characters or both?
Yes, the full Monty, as it were.
Okay, I'm Lenarius, and I am playing Jansen, a rogue monk elf who has got a bit of a tood. and is very distrustful of pretty much anybody. And so, memory of a funny thing from today. Well, I mean, I thought the DM was talking to me, and it was actually the character.
That's great.
As happens at the table from time to time. Wait, was this in character?
I thought you were talking kind of like theatrically, but like I was like, oh no, that's still pretty Rob though. That's fine. It's okay.
I just naturally sound like a dragon. Okay, cool. I'll take it. Oh, don't pretend
DM
any of you are
confirms.
surprised. You had that figured out an hour ago. Knock it off. Don't give me that. Molly, you're up.
I'm Molly, or barely Molly. I do art streams very rarely now, but I play Ember, the fire ganassi, and oh boy, favorite moment of tonight was maybe the fact that this dragon on first glance can tell the awkward relationship tension that we are refusing to talk about between me and Mir, and that we're literally just ignoring it. Perfect. Beautiful.
In my defense, you two did have a lot of knowing glances, as you two were the two that were like, "Oh, this guy's up to something."
True.
He had time
But
to read
also-
things.
But also, I'm pretty sure that there's constantly been steam from Ember sweating since we left Candlekeep. Just billowing steam from sweating. Just nervous sweats forever.
Which gets coupled. There's just so much going on there.
Oh god.
So much going on. Tiffany?
Hi, I'm Tiffany, your TS. I'm playing Show, your friendly barbarian librarian. Librarian came up a lot more than the barbarian today, but that's not actually unusual. My favorite part was probably Mir voluntarily driving the cart to go back and talk with this guy about music and dragons. I thought that was hilarious.
It's the most social we've seen Mir in a while.
It is. It's quite good.
Music.
Yeah, the music of the dragons. It's got a whole new ring.
Sweet. And Jesse?
Hi everyone, I'm Jessie, or Enceladus, and I'm playing Mir, a water ganassi bard who doesn't like people. And I think, let's see, I guess by what I do outside of this is stream tech and stuff. It's like after 2 a.m., so I'm like barely coherent. But my favorite part from tonight, I'm trying so hard, was the book that Brindad had, which was like, you know, for the benefit of people who weren't there, depending on who looked at it, it would kind of show I believe the same content, but kind of like in not only your native language, but like kind of formatted in a way that's appealing for you. And for Mir, who can't read, it was almost animated so that they could kind of follow along with the story and still kind of get the content from the book.
But the words were still there.
The words were still there.
There were still words for them to follow too. Yeah.
And so I thought that was really really cool, like fantasy tech, but then also a really cool like accessibility thing too. So yeah, that was awesome.
I try. My name is Rob, aka Lantern Noir. I was the DM tonight, as I often am at these games. I'm still kind of grooming all four of them to take over my seat eventually, because I think it would be a lot of fun to get out of the forever DM chair. But we do Dungeons & Dragons content generally Sunday nights and Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time. This particular group, we started playing back in March on those Wednesday nights, and then we've moved to monthly on the weekends in order to accommodate our player who decided that she was going to change time zones on us. And that's okay, because nothing was going to stop this group from getting together, because it's not a month if we don't have 3 hours of wondering if Mir and Ember are going to deal with the tension or not. We have to get together every 30 days just to see if anything's going to happen, because that's what we do.
I mean, I need something to draw fan art of, so like, we have to have at least 3 hours a month, you know?
So speaking, when is the Shemsheim fan art coming out? Because I'm like, I've been.
Listen, I got some sketches. I got some
Okay.
sketches.
All right. Let's go. No,
By the
I know
way-
you're busy, I'm teasing.
I have some smooching sketches, okay?
Oh my god.
If you haven't checked them out, by the way, for those that did not come in, Kraken Inferno is, by the way, the gentleman who raided us earlier this evening. Thank you, everyone who's here that came from that raid. I consider Kraken one of the finest networking streamers I know. The man knows everybody on Twitch, and he's the kind of guy that when you pop in on his stream and he's talking, he knows what people have been up to. He's connecting people. He's steering people. Yep, to stop Mir from singing, there was a smooch. Abso-stinking-lily. But if you are not following Kraken, you need to do that. If you also check in the chat, there are links to all of our players. While Tiffany does not stream, you can find her stuff on Facebook. In addition to everything else she does, she's an amazing artist who does amazing ink illustrations. You can find Linarius on Sundays and other days, midday, an amazing streamer in her own right as well. And then Molly mentioned her art streams, and Jesse, if you can catch her on and your time scales work, you're going to learn so much about things you didn't know you didn't know. That's the best way I just describe it. Is I pop in there, it's like, oh, I didn't even know that this kind of machine language was a thing, and now I'm learning about it. So just some amazing players. And so thank you for everyone that came out for the cheers and the follows and the bits. Hopefully, we'll continue when we see each other again. We're going to put those to use. If you're not on the Discord, you might check it out because that's where we'll announce when this group is going to meet again. And you can also follow on Twitter. I do update pretty frequently with my schedule. So we can talk about tomorrow being a Sunday. We are on at 7 p.m. And you want to come back for that because we are starting Dragon Heist, which also happens in Waterdeep. In fact, if you watch Dragon Heist and you come back in a month, these four are going to find themselves walking the same rows and probably cross paths with the same characters. Because I'm pretty good about keeping my worlds together. I don't know what will happen in Dragon Heist when that happens because I'll have a few more sessions. But yes, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with Akio Ari, who is a popular streamer in their own right and frequently on the Kraken Inferno channel, is one of the players. I have a good friend, a former student, would you believe, is also going to be in that game, as well as a couple other amazing, talented players. So it's going to be a ton of fun. That's tomorrow, 7 p.m. This week we're off on the happy hour, but then Wednesday night is the launch of the Convergence, which is our post-apocalyptic fantasy game. And we're running that Wednesday night at 7 p.m. We're having our actual first game episode, which has got a lot of really neat backstory already planned into it. And we're going to see if the characters survive level 1, because I don't know if we have the budget to redo their character art if any of them die before they can get to level 2. I mean, I have a little bit set aside, but I can't kill the whole party. I can only kill one of them. So.
You know, I literally, talked to B-Cake about, if I make it to level 3, that I could do an add-on to have her create the robot that we end up sitting with. If I make it, that might be a thing.
She is totally good stinking people.
Yeah.
I adore everything she does. She is just an amazing artist. Yes, you can find the Character Ability episodes on the YouTube. I think I have a playlist set for the Convergence. If I don't, I will soon. But they are on the channel. And they I'm doing my best. I was sick for a week. I'm catching back up again because this week and next is just crazy. Thank you again, Kraken, for bringing your people here. We are going to pay that forward. That other pond, who is also in the Convergence and is kind of taken over all the graphic design, for which I am immensely grateful, is currently streaming. So we're going to send all of us over to her space to hang out with her tonight for the remainder of the evening. So when you get there, you can use whatever raid craw you want to use. I would say let's make noise for both Lantern Noir and Kraken Inferno because, again, amazing dude and amazing content creator. and what just an awesome all around good guy. Ladies, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I'm just an old white guy talking. This game is you make this game as fun as it is.
It was a great game.
It was a very fun start to the game.
Good to get
Thank you,
together.
Rob. And I know this was like all homebrew, basically.
What do you mean all homebrew?
So good.
Mwah.
You know, I'm just reading this out of the book.
The dragon in the room. Do we need to bring him into this?
I don't know what you're talking about. Good night, everybody.
Uh-huh.
Good night, everyone. Sleep well,
Good
Jesse.
night.
We'll let those run. When did I change those to Star Wars?
Oh.
What did you change to Star Wars?
The credits
The
just ran there.
credits.
Star Wars. I don't remember doing that. All right, now we're out of here. Tell Pine we said hi.
It's time to say bye-bye, Mr. Wise Guy. Oh, I'm leaving you stranded